Chide? What does that mean?
Chide what?
Chide?
Chide. Chide.
Yeah, that's what I said, chide.
I know, I'm just saying it again. Hi guys, we're live. Welcome to a new episode of Cinema Bias. I am one of your hosts. I am Drew Grant. This is VideoDrew. God, this is the first time I did not say my name was VideoDrew. That's weird.
Oh.
I'm Drew Grant.
Okay. No. Who is Drew Grant, Drew?
Who knows? I talked about it too long today. And then I have my other beautiful co-host with me. This is the one, the only, Alex Mack.
I'm forever Alex Mack. What up, guys? What up, home skillets?
Now, I did say the one and only, but there is another Alex Mack. She had a TV show. She could make herself into goo.
I was an Alex Mack before that show, though.
Yeah, and I think you were cooler than her. If I remember correctly, she was kind of lame. She had an older sister who did not like her very much. Guys, I'm just making sure we're live real quick. Also, today's just welcome to Cinema Bias, by the way. And I just want to announce that today's just gonna. I think we can both say honestly, today's gonna be one of those days. So bear with us if we have any sort of technical difficulties or if it looks like I'm doing something weird, if I glitch. I mean, I'm gonna say that we have picked the best movie. A movie that I got so obsessed with, you know, pretty recently in terms of the behind the scenes stuff. So for once, I'm going to have notes. Alex just saw this movie for the first time ever.
Ever.
Like 2 weeks ago.
Ever.
And it's Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yes.
Yes. I was trying to remember the funny joke I made about it, which is, forget it, Jake. This is Chinatown or something like that. Because it's basically Chinatown, but with cartoons.
Yes. Well, before we kind of dive into that, if you're not familiar with Cinema Bias,
right?
Awesome. Welcome to hang out with us. We are going to be chatting about our personal movie biases, what got us into certain genres of movies, certain directors, whatever it may be, and what are our biases behind these, you know, these movies. I mean, what is the reason why I haven't seen this movie up until today? I mean, or
like
why
last
also
week?
Last week, or like also Drew, why she hasn't, seen a lot of the other movies as well. So it's kind of really dive into our personal movie biases when it comes to certain genres, directors, etc. But also at the same time, really expand our knowledge on these specific movies we can really hone into.
You know, I would say this would be a show that really allows us to cover our blind spots, but I feel like that's already the name of somebody else's show, so we won't call it that. Because last week we did have our first ever guest, Mr. John Roca, and we got to go over Rosemary's Baby, a show that he hasn't seen. So guys, and that's just a little taste of what's going to be coming up for y'all. So if you guys like what we're doing here, please like and subscribe to the channel. I always forget to say that. And if you really want to check out like what we're doing, go to the patreon.com/VideoDrew. There's a tier where you can get me and Alex to review a movie if it's something that one or both of us haven't seen, and you can even come on the show and discuss it with us. So that's going to be fun for us. Yeah, and we're going to start incorporating, sort of guests and different elements. As you can see, there's a little thing now to the left. If you guys go to streamlabs.com/VideoDrew and like or donate or whatever, it's going to do a thing. If you super chat, it's going to do a thing. I'm not going to do a test, but because I know it works, but it will do a thing. It'll make a sound. And that's going to be cool for all of us. It'll probably make a little image. So, Alex, why don't we talk a little bit about the very first segment of this show that we do? It's called What's Your Bias?
My bias. So I haven't seen this movie until about 2 weeks ago. And it was like one of those situations where I just turned it on and I was like, why not? In the past, I have actively steered away from this movie because, I didn't know. I didn't really know what it was. To me, it's a little creepy. Just based off, because I didn't know anything. I haven't seen the trailer. I didn't know anyone in it. So I didn't really know what it was about, but all I knew is that it incorporated tunes, and I wasn't a real big fan of the tunes. Personally,
did you get like traumatized by Cool World or something? Was there like some other movie that like combined the animation of real life? Would it surprise you to know that? And we can get into these little factoids. Would it surprise you to know that Eddie Murphy shared that same bias and turned down a role in this movie because he didn't understand the concept of people working with cartoons? Like he just was like, no, he was like, I don't know. I have to go to church. whatever that is.
A lot of people, you know, kind of, I mean, like Will Smith, he didn't get the Matrix. That's why he passed up on the Matrix. But also at the same time, I'm super glad he passed up on the Matrix because let's be honest, if he was cast in that movie, that would have been an entirely different film.
But I would have gone
in a completely different direction.
I want to go back and ask Eddie Murphy, what did you like? I said, okay, so you know what? I have the direct quote here about because it was on somewhere. What he thought it meant to have humans working alongside cartoons. Because the way it sounds is that he actually thinks in the world of this movie and he has a prejudice against toons. So what he said, he reportedly turned down the role as he misunderstood the concept of cartoon characters and human beings coexisting. He later regretted that decision. Like, that's amazing. That implies that he misunderstood that cartoons aren't real. Like, what else could that possibly mean? That he misunderstood the concept?
I can picture him thinking it was like people dressing up as characters.
He misunderstood the concept of human beings and cartoons coexisting. That's amazing. That's just like my favorite phrase of the day.
I honestly kind of felt the same way, and that's why I steered away from this movie because there's a reason why I will not watch Neverending Story. I saw it. Oh, scratch that. No, scratch that. I have seen it once, like half of it.
I've seen the second one.
Like half of it, and I was like, I do not want to watch this. This movie's weird and creepy. I can't. I'm just gonna. I'm stop watching it, and I just never finished it.
You know what? Me neither. Me neither. Somebody make us watch that because I've never seen the first one. I've only seen the sequel.
No,
I mean, I don't like that dog thing that they fly on. I don't like it. No, Falcor. Atreyu's the horse that dies. Spoiler. Whoops. Anyway, guys, sorry. Let's stay on subject. Thanks for subscribing, Chuck. Look at that. Isn't human beings and cartoons coexisting the dream? I mean, for some of us, for others, it's a nightmare. And for some of us, it was our first sex dreams with Mr. Smithers from The Simpsons. I don't know. Just saying. There's that face.
That got real intense for a hot second.
I was just saying it was a dream. It did happen. And that's weird because the character is not a heterosexual man. Anyway, moving forward. Now we're doing part of the segment called Let's Move On, where we it's called Tell Us the Plot, where I'm going to give Alex 60 seconds.
Okay.
You want to tell me the plot of Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Hold on, let me get my thing out. I'm really excited to actually hear you do this, Alex. I'm very excited. So, 1 minute. Are you ready?
I guess emotionally, am I ready? I don't know.
Set. Tune.
Yeah. Did you say tune? Okay, so this world kind of takes place in an alternate universe where cartoons and the Looney Tunes in particular coexist with humans. Specifically, the events are actually set in this kind of Hollywood world, like weird Chinatown / Toontown situation. So it's kind of interesting. But it really focuses on a PI named Eddie something, where he pretty much, so he's kind of in the process of recovering. He's an alcoholic, and he's because his brother actually died during a investigation. He actually gets killed by a cartoon. Actually,
50 seconds.
Oh, shoot. Okay. So, but pretty much he's hired by some kind of cartoon producer, like Ace Cartoons or something like that, to investigate an adultery scandal situation that involves Jessica Rabbit and Roger Rabbit, because they're like,
okay.
It's like
time. Wow. 1 minute to not even get to the Roger Rabbit. 1 minute. Alex was so Eddie Murphy by this concept. She couldn't get to the part where Roger Rabbit is there. Okay, but you know what? That's actually fine because you actually set up the world, and that's the more difficult plot. To end it, basically you're going through an LA noir. It's just in a world where there's cartoons are real. And specifically Disney and Warner Brother cartoons are real. So that's Looney Tunes and that's Disney properties, which I remember thinking while watching this movie, how the hell, because like Roger Rabbit isn't like, as a kid, I grew up thinking maybe Roger Rabbit had a cartoon show and I didn't know about it. Like he was a famous cartoon figure that I somehow missed. Like, and then as I got older, I watched and I was like, oh man, it's crazy that this one-off managed to convince Disney and Warner Brothers to give them like their properties. Like Disney's like intense about their IPs. Like they gave them Mickey Mouse. Turns out Disney made the movie. No problem. Roger Rabbit, not based on anybody that had come before. It was based on a book. So the fact is we're dealing with an LA noir story that was made by Disney. It's a really dark noir. It probably traumatized so many people's childhood experiences, like my own, because Christopher Lloyd as Judge Doom. Yeah, I was about to say Judge Dredd, but that's somebody else.
Love him.
He's first of all, he's so great. We're about, I think, a year or two. This was made in '88. When was Back to the Future made? Like
87, 89.
Yeah, so this was like peak Lloyd.
87.
This was like when Lloyd was just killing it. This is maybe his scariest role. I mean, he was great as Rasputin in Anastasia, but I think this role is terrifying. Not even Uncle Lester. Like, nothing comes close to how scary it is when this guy gets rolled over by a truck because, spoiler alert, he himself is a toon. He's been buying up all this property, all this land, pulling some shady Chinatown maneuver.
To build
a
highway.
A freeway.
Highway. Tomato. Interstate. They're all the same thing.
I was just elaborating on the same word. I was just saying another word that sounds like, I wasn't saying I'm right. I'm just saying, yeah, freeway, highway. He wants to build a thing. The 405.
That one. Wait, was this movie made in 85 or Back to the Future was made in 85?
No, 88 was this movie. So 85 was Back to the Future.
Okay, my bad.
So interesting choice for Christopher Lloyd, because this is a real dark role. So just going on a little bit, this takes like this plot is basically an LA noir, which is like a very like subgenre of noir that we all know. It's like Inherent Vice, Big Lebowski, I think Maltese Falcon, LA Confidential, very clearly. There's just a ton of movies that follow certain tropes of LA noir, which is usually it's a vast conspiracy. Chinatown, like it's a vast conspiracy. Kiss, kiss, bang, bang. The person who hired you usually did it. Usually. Like they're setting you up. You're going to be a fall guy. It's usually about some incorporation. True Detective season 2 is also like falls under this trope of LA noir.
Oh, I mean, like Fight Club is technically an LA noir. I mean, not LA, but it is considered a noir.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't have to do with a detective, and it takes place in Wilmington, Delaware. But it's
considered a noir.
So like a noir is just generally like a detective story about a detective who is like set on a case somewhere. And LA noir is a subgenre of it that usually takes place in Los Angeles. But you could argue that, I was about to say Fargo, but that's not one. You could argue that like things that outside of Los Angeles can follow the LA noir trope of just a detective being set up, things being kind of like loose. It's kind of being like, this kind of this vague, oppressive, shadowy thing going on.
Everything looks dark and devious. Everyone's always in the shadows.
The government figures, the police, like no one's going to help you. They're going to be behind it. It's probably a conspiracy. You're in like a Raymond Chandler story if like you are being hired by a really wealthy guy to find his missing daughter and he just happens to be running for mayor. Like, guess what? He killed her. Like you did it. Like you're going to be set up for the murder. So this is a very, very, very much like an LA noir because it literally has to do with the incorporation of Toontown or like the destruction of Toontown by none other than Judge Doom himself, who is himself a toon. He's a self-hating toon working in Hollywood in the 1950s. Now, if that isn't a metaphor, a very, very thinly veiled metaphor for something, I don't know what is. This is to me is like such a dark movie. I don't even know if this movie was made for children. I think we all saw it as kids.
Well, what was it rated when it was released in theater?
PG. Freaking PG. P-freaking-G, people. Spielberg, who produced it, and I'm blanking for a second on the director. Oh no, it's Zemeckis. Robert Zemeckis directed it. Oh my god! And I have so much to tell you. I have such wondrous things to tell you.
And dance moment, 'cause she's frozen. Bang, ding, 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 Anyway, I'm going to tell you some noir movies real quick. What's that movie with, man, I keep completely forgetting. Out of the Past from the 40s, A Lonely Place. What's that movie with Sharon Stone where she's like super sexy? Basic Instinct. Yeah, Black Widow. Raging Bull is technically like filmed like one, but it doesn't have like a lot of the tropes that a lot of noirs have. Let's see, Chinatown, huge one. Taxi Driver. Wait, Taxi Driver, is that one? Thieves Like Us, The Getaway, The Drowning Pool, Farewell, My Lovely. But you know, I'm just hanging out. Sean, if you're in the back, please help a girl out. But yeah, so you guys tell me, how old were you when you saw this movie for the first time? Like, who introduced you to this movie? Was it like a family member, a friend? Did you sneak in a movie theater? Did your parents take you to the movie theater? Or did you just happen to come across it, you know, while wandering the numerous wonderful aisles at, you know, Blockbuster? That's what I want to know. What was that situation like? Like I mentioned, I saw this for the first time very recently, and it was a very, you know, weird experience. I was like, I just randomly put it on because we didn't actually plan to watch this, do this today. Initially, I just like mentioned casually to Drew. I was like, yeah, I just saw the movie, you know, Who Framed Roger Rabbit for the first time, and that was pretty cool. And she's like, what? What do you mean? You just saw it for the first time. We got to talk about it. And I was like, oh. So it's kind of crazy how that happens. How like mentioned, I just saw it on like Netflix or Hulu or something. And I was like, oh, well, let's check it out. I've been putting it off. Might as well. Toons are second-class citizens. Yes, in this movie, they're entertainers and don't have much respect outside of making cartoons. I saw the comparison to Black people in Hollywood. 100%. I saw that right away. Yeah, once I recognize it, you can't really unsee it. It's very clearly a political film. It's very clearly has a lot of themes that if you see it when you're like 10 years old, you might not catch it, but you might catch it right away. I recognized a lot of themes, you know, when I saw it for the first time. But yeah, if I were a kid seeing it, it would probably go right over my head. Constantine. Oh, nice. So Chuck, I gotta know, was this considered a family movie to you? Was this movie that was constantly on repeat and like in the living room while everyone was doing their thing? You know, 6 and 89 on home video. Oh, nice. J-Dog. Nice. I dig that. Yeah, I can definitely see it. You saw it on HBO. Brandy, girl, you saw it 7 times in theaters. I'm not gonna lie. I'm impressed. I'm uber impressed, if I gotta, you know, say so. Yeah, so it's and not to mention, obviously, seeing at the theaters in the 80s. I read this story about how Spielberg and George Lucas, they had this huge fight essentially about how their approach into theaters should be, because I think it was like right after the ended of Star Wars, where pretty much George Lucas had this idea that, you know, if you pay like $20, you can go see a Star Wars movie 3 times. He hated the idea that you can like buy a movie for so much money and keep it forever. He hated that idea. He was like, no, they can do whatever they want with it. No. Why would we give him that option? You know, versus Spielberg, he was like, yo, DVDs, love that idea. VHSs, yes. You know, recording stuff, bring it. So George Lucas, you know, you can't deny he definitely had a very much an entrepreneurial mindset for sure. You know, over Spielberg, I mean, but, you know, so seeing a movie in theaters like this 7 times is not only it was incredibly normal, you know, also like theaters carry movies for a lot longer than they do now, obviously, but it was almost expected. you know, we don't really have that nowadays. Now, if I go to a movie theater, I'm so selective about what movies I see. I'm like, I used to go to a movie theater like maybe once a month with Lucas, and that would be it. Just because there's so many streaming services and there's so many movies on my watch list that are available I haven't seen, and it's like a whole thing. Sean, you were 8 years old. Oh, how did you guys like watch it when you were a kid? When you saw it when you were a kid, was it like did you love it, or was it kind of creepy to you, or was it like one of those situations where you're like, I just think did you treat it like a cartoon, or did you kind of like feel like you were watching something a little adult? Like I said, I remember watching the movie Neverending Story, or most of it, for the first time when I was very little. I was like under the age of 10. And I remember watching it on TV. It's like on PBS or something along those lines. And I was just like, this movie is creepy and it's making me uncomfortable, even though the movie's clearly made for kids. But at the same time, I was just like, I don't like it. This movie is just so weird. This big puppet dog dragon thing. I don't get it. A horse dies and I was just like, I don't want to do it. But yeah, it creeped me out. And I feel like if I had seen this movie for the first time, if I was a kid, like a kid, like 7 or 8 years old, like some of you guys were, I feel like I would have been terrified. So tell me, how did you guys feel about it? And yes, Danny, my boy, I didn't kidnap her. I wish I did. It would be a lot cooler. I do genuinely enjoy her presence. So I guess some tech issues, surprise tech issues, that stuff happens every once in a while. But I'm just killing time until she kind of pops on. Yes, it did creep you out. Dude, I don't blame you, right? Were you like by yourself? Did a babysitter slip that DVD or movie or whatever up in there like when you were a kid? Or was it your family, friends? What was it? Oh, yes, Adelia, her internet did go out. So Jenny Lawson, you mentioned you treat it as a cartoon. Girl, just saying, you changed your profile picture and you look so cute. I'm digging your earrings. You look adorable. I love it. Yeah, you treated it like a cartoon. So did you recognize any of the noir or like the darker themes that were attached to it? I'm kind of curious. I mean, like obviously when you're a kid watching some of these movies, at what point do you kind of start to recognize a lot of those themes? I feel like I was a little bit older when I started recognizing a lot of those themes personally. But the humor is what helped define me. Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Yeah. So, I mean, not going to lie, the humor in this movie is fantastic. Adults are going to love it, obviously. But also kids. Just saying, okay, Christopher Lloyd's character as the judge, the physicality. I mean, I feel like physical comedy is definitely one of those things that no matter your age, so especially for kids, you're going to love it. It's so good. That's why, like Three Stooges and, Jim Carrey and Robin Williams, and a lot of these awesome actors, they're so iconic because they're so great in physical roles. Oh, hello.
So guess what? I've lost all internet connection. That's pretty cool. This never happened before. We've lost everything. How's the vamping going?
Oh, I was just talking about physical comedy. And we were talking about, I was going to dive into Christopher Lloyd in particular. So we kind of mentioned previously about, how old some of these people saw it the first time. Like some of these people said they were like 7, 8 years old. Like yeah, Brandy, she saw it in theaters like 7 or 8 times in theaters, which is so awesome. Some people saw it with their parents when they're young. And,
are broken. Those people are broken inside just like me because they saw this movie and they now know what it's like to like watch a man get run over.
Oh, no. Oh, lady, you are so on mute. Oh, there you are. Okay, you're good. Maybe.
Yeah, this is going to keep happening, guys. I think because my computer hates me. Hopefully the Wi-Fi will start working soon. If not, I will go in the house and see what's going to happen. But I was going to say this movie was traumatizing. Maybe Christopher Lloyd's Judge Doom does not want me talking about this movie because this movie was scarring. Yeah. I'm much like Eddie Murphy, and I do not believe that like humans and cartoons should coexist. I think that's all like something that we all can admit we can find creepy. What's crazy about this movie was the lengths that they went in order to make this look as realistic as possible, which was like unheard of at the time. And which I'll talk about in a second.
Yeah. Okay. When you say the lengths that they went to in order to make this realistic, I am so grateful for that because not only does it look amazing, it's like technologically speaking, in spite of it being like one of the first movies to do this, as far as I know, it looks so good. It's so cool.
What?
So what is? Oh, go ahead.
I'll tell you why in 1 second. I'm going to transfer back over. It looks like we have internet again, so I'm going to transfer back over. Okay, so I'll be right.
Well, there it goes. Yeah. Okay. So Christopher Lloyd, though. Okay, so his character in particular is terrifying, obviously, like she was saying. But there is this picture of Christopher Lloyd where he's like all in black, obviously, because he's the judge. But he's like, his eyes are like darting out and they're like red and there's like yellow surrounding it. And it's so creepy and it's weird. And I just remember seeing it and be like, I don't like it. Ah! Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. Change it. I'm gonna cry. Oh, it's so scary. Oh God, I'm crying. Oh God. Oh, so scary. It's so creepy looking. Oh my gosh, that terrifying. Okay, so the little moments between, don't even, no. Oh, no, so weird. There was another, there was another picture though where it was like darting out. It was really funky. But, yeah, it's scary AF. Just gonna go back to, there was a lot of, so we're gonna talk about specifically a lot of the animation and everything. I know we're gonna dive into like the technology aspect here very soon. You know, there is a lot of Disney moments. I mean, there's like quite a few little Disney Easter eggs as well. There's like, you know, between there was a like split, like throwaway comments, be like, yeah, like Walt like lent us the Disney characters or something like that, like towards the beginning of the movie. It's like, yeah, you lent us it. And suddenly Dumbo like flew up through the window. And he's just like, hi. It just was like, it was really, really good. Yeah, so it was really fantastic. Now, nowadays, with how crazy people are, I mean, how territorial a lot of these companies between like in different animated characters, I feel like that would be impossible to do now. It really hurts my heart because it was such a really cool moment. And, you know, I do recognize a lot of aspects of this movie is very purposefully scary. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, it's not meant to be like a horror movie or anything, but it's purposefully made to make you feel uncomfortable, which it successfully does in spades. You feel me? Yeah, so I do kind of want to go over to the chat a little bit. Yeah, so Chuck Kasla, I know you said the Disney WB crossover moments really blew my mind when I first saw it. Yeah, totally. I was like, yes. I see what you did there. It's pretty amazing. Now, if like hypothetically, if this was made today and like Toy Story characters were to like come up on a Looney Tunes movie, people would be like, oh shoot, what's going on? What? Yeah, so it would be like really weird now, but in this movie, it just so beautiful. So beautiful. Yeah, so okay, I do want to let you know, hopefully Drew will be on here very soon. So fingers crossed. Yeah, so I know Eric, you said, yeah, that reveal scared the bejesus out of you as a kid, right? Okay, so that scene okay, we're gonna dive into that, like that whole scene, because that's personally one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Is, you know, it's really weird, like that he's like his entire character was like flattened by this, I don't know what that machine is called, where it's like meant to like flatten concrete, level concrete. Essentially, it's like a huge roller thing, like tractor roller thing. I don't know what it's called, obviously, but you know, and he flattens it out, and he goes like, and he's like, it's so unnerving, so unnerving. Yes, that part made me. Yeah. Yo, okay, yes, 100 per fucking cent. Okay, so I remember going. There was like a handful of things I see with my mom, my mom and my grandma.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Hi, what's up, guys? Wow, that was a big adventure for us all.
Very adventurous.
Eric walked into the room and it started working again because you're gonna have to sit here. You're gonna have to sit here the entire time because it does not want to work when he's gone.
Eric is a technological witch.
Yeah, he is. So you're vamping beautifully, by the way, but I want to go into a little bit of the backstory of how this movie was made.
Yes, please.
So we're kind of doing it a little bit differently today, which is not going to be so much favorite characters moments. We will get to it. I do want to say this movie was made not with cartoons, but by robots. This movie was made by Robert Zemeckis building a bunch of robots and having them do all the actions. Like there was like a mechanical arm that would be like on a dolly. Sean, I'm not sure if we have any pictures of this thing, but like, and it would reach out and like touch Bob Hoskins or pull his hat away. Basically, Bob Hoskins and everyone else in the movie had to just interact with like with different kinds of what looks like AI. Yeah, there we go. So there's a mech arm. That's from the baby smoking the cigar. You can tell a little bit like that. It must have been like being on Terminator. Like, Eric, if you leave, it's going to go out in 1 second. But like what's also crazy is they didn't have the kind of animation style that we possibly have today. Of course they didn't. They had to individually animate every single cell of this movie. And they had to put 5 different layers of shadowing on every single cell of this movie. And once the movie was shot, they couldn't go back and like if there was an oopsie or whatever, if Bob Hoskins wasn't looking at the right eye line for Roger Rabbit, they couldn't go back and reshoot it because they were immediately they were also doing it sorry, can you turn they were doing it because once it's shot and they start animating it, they can't go back and like cut it into it again. So they had to animate every single cell. And so there are scenes where Roger Rabbit is making himself taller or extending his arm out or doing something cartoonish because Bob Hoskins is looking at the wrong eye line.
Oh, the effort they have to do and the creativity behind a lot of the animators is amazing. I do have a theory as well for the director, Robert Zemeckis. I think this is the movie that triggered Robert Zemeckis to get really weird and creative with his movies. I'm sure.
I'm going to tell you a secret. I'm going to tell you a secret, a straight up secret. Robert Zemeckis is my go-to answer for who the director is. If I don't know a director and they're asking about it on Schmoedown, I will always say Robert Zemeckis. And yet it's very hard for me to name a Robert Zemeckis film. I just know that he's done a bunch of them. And like most things I love probably had something to do with Robert Zemeckis.
Well, prior to this movie, he did like Romancing the Stone, Amazing Stories, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, a lot of things, those things like that, which are by movies, but they're live action. They're very like traditional stories, essentially, like a story, it's like pacing and all that good stuff. But, after this movie, he starts experimenting a little bit more. He does Death Becomes Her.
That's a great movie.
Which I love.
That's a freaking movie. That's a bop of a movie.
I love that movie so much.
Oh
I argued if they were that me the best comedy of the 90s. I lost, but still, that's my personal.
Do you want to maybe just have a show where we talk about how Death Becomes Her is like such a funny movie?
It's
really underrated movie about what it's like to be just an immortal sort of zombie Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn. So great. Sorry, go ahead.
Kate Hudson actually on Twitter for a minute, she actually she was like, if there's ever a movie that she could redo, because both her and her mom, they were actually they were nominated for Best Supporting Actress or Best Actress at the same age for the first time at the same age. They were both they were like 19 or 20, 21, something like that. They were very young.
What was Kate? Oh, Almost Famous, right?
Almost Famous, yes.
Yeah, there we go.
But she said that the movie she would love to go back in if they were to remake is Death Becomes Her. She's like, I would love to do it. I would not even need to get paid to do it because she loves that movie. Her mom in that movie so much. She would do anything to see that movie being made again.
I think that goes to a point of it, which is that Robert Zemeckis has kind of a dark sensibility. So teaming up with Spielberg is like a very, very funny idea because there was talk for a long time about a sequel to Who Framed Roger Rabbit. That Spielberg eventually just recently kind of had to bow out of because he thought after Schindler's List, he can't do parodies of Nazis, which tells you a little bit about how Roger Zemeckis thinks this movie, like this series should go. It should go in the direction of Nazis. Like, and I'm not sure about you, but like, I don't think that this scary concept of a movie that's going to like frighten children, it frightened me, needs is like to add Nazi Germany into it. Maybe it does. Maybe that's like Bill and Ted.
Oh, yeah, you're totally right. Could we just take a moment to admire Jenny in her profile picture? She looks so cute in her new picture.
Oh,
she's so pretty. Right? Isn't she glowing? I love it.
I love it. So yeah, I mean, Robert Zemeckis is his work is very, very dark. I think this movie, I can't tell who this movie is for. I know a lot of us saw it as kids. I'm not sure if it's for children. Like, yes, it does have that thing of you know, the Disney characters and stuff, which I'm still surprised that Disney did. Like, I'm surprised that that was what Disney decided to go with.
Yeah.
I can't believe that, like, they convinced Disney to do this and put Mickey Mouse. Like, I know it's not Mickey Mouse starring in it, and they made a whole new character who's based on a novel.
He's in the background.
He's in the background. Exactly. Yeah. Sorry. That's me and Tom. That's me and Tom for some reason. No, I mean, he's in the background, but like he's in the movie, which means that they put the Disney property, they put the Disney logo. It actually was a big thing that they got the Warner Brothers character. That was like the bigger deal, was that they got Warner Brothers to like sign off on it. So that's why we have a scene with Daffy Duck and Donald Duck playing piano together. But there were some like really interesting stipulations that Warner Brothers put on this movie, such as they had to be playing piano equally well. Like you couldn't have like one duck be better at playing the piano than the other imaginary duck. Like that was a thing. And it's just, to me, like, it's just so funny. Like, I can't imagine today them like a team up. Like, we have all these things about the MCU and Sony and all these ways that Disney has absorbed other companies, that trying to think about what this movie would look like today is like kind of impossible. At least for me, like, it's kind of impossible to try to think about.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I mean, I do feel like it's a little very difficult because I mentioned, like, if it was made now, I feel like it would be dang near impossible, but just because of how territorial some companies are, animated companies are with their characters. Like, if a Looney Tune movie like Space Jam would never have, you know, Woody or Annie or anything coming in from Toy Story popping in. That wouldn't happen nowadays.
Yeah, you were not even going to get a Pixar character in a Disney film. Those things exist in different freaking universes. You know what I mean? Like, it's weird. So I think I got like a picture of one of these things that poor Bob Hoskins, God rest his soul, had to interact with and pretend was his friend or like, you know, acquaintance. Sorry. Like I did this thing, which is, oops. Today, I told you guys today was going to be a bop of a day. So here is bop, bop, and bop of a day. Here is a picture of one of the machines from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Oh, that's the steamroller thing that rolled him over. This was actually, I believe, a part of a ride that was in Disney for a while. So that was like a whole freaking look. So go ahead.
That looks something legit out of Tim Burton's movie.
This seems like a Tim Burton movie.
It feels like it a little bit, especially like Playhouse, like Pee-wee's Big Adventure situation. Then he does, you know, it just feels like it's like a weird combination.
Okay.
It feels like a dirty movie. If that is, everything is like unclean. I'm not saying like perverted or anything, but everything just feels very dirty, like actually dirty. Like everything looks aged, essentially.
Yeah. I think the thing that always struck me as a kid about this movie was just how adult it was. Like every theme in this movie is like for adults. Yes. It's about sex. It's about
grief.
Yeah, it's about grief. It's about it's about all these hard-boiled detective tropes, you know, that we know about, where like, you know, like the guy who wants to sleep with the dame and like, you know, the wife who's like being a cheater. Like it's all these tropes that we know about from the from doing these movies, and it's a lot. Like it's a lot for a kid to take in. I wonder if they just didn't like, why did they get the PG rating? How they got the PG rating? How much sway Disney must have on like the world, even back then, to get the PG rating. It must have been like intense because again, this movie is not for children. I think it scarred all of us. I'm going to just go out on a limb and say that it scarred all of us. I do have a picture. Finally, I got up the right picture that I'd like to share with you, which is...
Do not do it. Do not do it.
I'm going to do it. Here we go.
Don't do it.
That is a picture. Oh, there we go. So poor Alex is vamping on this. Yeah, we have the same amount of subscribers we always have. So people are just watching you vamp. Apparently I am not necessary for this production. So in this picture, you can kind of see this is when he's doing the thing with it in the bar where he's Roger Rabbit is taking the plates and he's bashing it over like his head. And he's like, you know, trying to make people laugh before the infamous shave and a haircut scene. What it was Roger Zemeckis just got a bunch of people to make robots to go do those things for them. Like that amount of effort and work, you might as well just find a way to make cartoons real people.
Yeah, I'm listening. Sorry, I'm just turning off this lamp thing. I'm like,
yeah, no, go ahead. Guys, remember to like and subscribe this very high quality, very high tech production of Cinema Bias, please. And
this is our best episode yet.
This is this is really putting us on our feet. And you know what, Alex? I'm proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
I really am proud of you. This. I think I would have like shut the show down by now. I'd be like, oh, she's gone. Nope. Just kidding. I would vamp forever. But what I was gonna say is go to streamlabs.com/VideoDrew if you have any tips or suggestions or comments. If you super chat us, if you do anything, it's going to pop up on this little screen, this little black screen I have on my mirror. Boop.
Drew,
yeah?
Did you know it was based on a book?
Yeah, I said that. Yeah, it's based on a book. No, it's okay because most of my life I didn't know that, nor do I think a lot of people did. I think a lot of people assumed this was a character that existed already in Disney because like the way they created it is in this world, he's a thing. Like everyone knows him. He's a silly guy who's married to the hottest drawn character of all time, who famously has the quote, "I'm not evil. I'm not bad. I was just drawn that way." Well, I did that perfectly. I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way. Which brings us to our favorite character moments slash line. Yeah. Really sexy Kathleen Turner. Do you want to know who else besides Eddie Murphy wanted to be in this movie? I mean, they had a bunch of people. Let me get that up.
Robin Williams is definitely coming to mind.
Robin Williams was one of the. Yep. It was Robin Williams.
Rick Moranis.
I'm not sure about. Let's see. Harrison Ford, Bill Murray, Chevy Chase.
What?
Wait. So they all had different reasons. Okay, so Harrison Ford wanted too much money. Chevy Chase, not interested. Bill Murray, but due to his idiosyncratic methods of receiving offers to roles, he missed out on it. Don't know what that means. I guess he like missed a letter, or he like burns every fourth offer, or just like didn't even read the script. That sounds like something like he didn't read the script. Eddie Murphy turned it down because he misunderstood the concept of cartoon characters and human beings coexisting. Just please, somebody explain to me what that means.
I'm telling you,
I love it.
He probably thought it was something
real.
There's no movie like this before that.
No, but what do you think was offensive to him about it? Like as a concept?
It probably wasn't offensive. He probably like after hearing the description or reading a handful of pages, he's just like, these characters are supposed to be cartoons. I can't picture that. There's no movie like that. This is the first movie Dr. Dolittle.
Yeah, well, no, there were other movies where animated and people were together. There was Mary Poppins. There's a very famous sequence. So listen,
that's true.
So it was a very big deal. And there was Gene Kelly dancing with was it Gene Kelly was dancing with the little mouse? They had other versions of this. What this was crazy. Yeah.
Oh shoot! Don't tell me. Give me a minute.
It's okay. I'll just read out more people that were supposed to play Valiant besides Bob freaking Hoskins, like Shmee from Hook, which was always like he's like the big Bill name on this movie. They were like, don't worry, we're going to have a bunch of Disney characters in the background, but our main character, the titular character, is going to be a cartoon character no one's ever heard of. Don't worry, we have Bob Hoskins to round it out and make people want to come to the theaters. Not Harrison Ford, not Bill Murray, not Eddie Murphy, let me go on. Robin Williams, Robert Redford, Jack Nicholson, Sylvester Stallone, Wallace Shawn, Ed Harris, Charles Grodin, Don Lane, yeah, I mean, everybody apparently freaking turned down this role because they couldn't conceive of what it would be like to work alongside a cartoon. And God bless him, Bob Hoskins did an amazing job. Like his interactions with him feel real. You forget while watching because the animators did such a great job. The machines did such a great job. Like you forget that you are watching an interaction between like something. You get that it's a cartoon, but you kind of forget that like they're not really pulling. No one's pulling his shoulder. No one's breaking a plate on the head. No one's making eye contact with Hoskins for this entire movie. No one's doing. Bob Hoskins is talking to a room alone, and Christopher Lloyd's just like in the background, like it's basically like Bob Hoskins vamping for an entire film.
I think Bob Hoskins should have gotten some kind of awards nomination for this.
He absolutely should have.
It's just like to me, it feels like one of those snubs that the awards weren't sure what to do with. They recognize it's good, but they weren't sure what to do with. Just like Andy Serkis doing, you know, Gollum or King Kong, essentially. They were like, well, we don't know.
It won 3 Oscars.
Oh, there you go. I mean, any of them acting though?
It was the first live action animation film hybrid film to win multiple Academy Awards since Mary Poppins. It won Best Sound Effects, Best Visual Effects, and Best Film Editing. That's pretty good. Gotta give it to him.
Awesome.
Gotta freaking give it to him. It might have been nominated for more too. Oh, Kathleen Turner was uncredited. Why? Like, I don't know. She's like one of the 2 freaking people. To be fair, I also don't know who played the voice of Roger Rabbit.
We can find out. We can find out.
Do you want to hear who else was in nomination to play Judge Doom?
Oh, it was Charles Fleischer. So he was in Nightmare on Elm Street, Zodiac, Back to the Future, and stuff as
Christopher Lee, also Peter O'Toole, John Cleese, F. Murray Abraham, Roddy McDowall, Sting, freaking Sting. I think he was too busy doing Dune.
Oh my gosh! What if he actually ended up hypothetically been cast as the judge?
You know what? Let's get on Goddard's show and do a cocktails and casting, because I have so many ways that I could cast this movie today. You know that people's voice talents, like the fact that Roger Rabbit is, I don't know like who voices him. Like that would never happen today. Today it would be like Channing Tatum as no, it wouldn't be Channing Tatum. It would be like Jonah Hill. Or Charlie Day.
If it was an original character, abso-flippin'-lutely. But if it was like an established character, but if it was like it was an established character like Daffy Duck, obviously Channing Tatum cannot do Daffy Duck.
No. I'm saying if it was a new character, which Roger Rabbit was, he didn't make an appearance on the small screen until it was time for like mixed. Yeah, that it would be a celebrity, especially because once again, Bob Hoskins, God rest his soul, was not a big celebrity. Like he had done Terry Gilliam movies at this point. He hadn't even done Hook yet, I don't believe. Hook was later. So like this was like, we're talking about like Bob Hoskins when Bob Hoskins wasn't Mario. He wasn't, he had basically been in he'd been in Brazil. That's like what I can pull from what Bob Hoskins' filmography had looked like up until that point. Terry Gilliam turned down directing this because he said it would be too technically difficult to shoot, and that is fucking saying something. Because Terry Gilliam undertakes literally like, the most Don Quixote, literally Don Quixote projects. It's like Quixote projects.
I don't think I've ever seen a Terry Gilliam movie.
Oh God, here we go.
Technically,
you've never seen a Terry. You never.
What has he done? What else has he done? I know he's done Brazil.
He did Brazil. He did Time Bandits. He did Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. He did the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus.
I had Parnassus.
I
have seen that one with Heath Ledger.
Yeah,
he died during mid shooting, so they had
everyone who played him turned out to be the freaking to be in the Fantastic Beasts movies. It's a really weird fact, but that happened. Oh, Weston, donate $5 to the super chat saying props to Fire Mac for holding down the digital fort. VideoDrew must have been having some interdimensional issues again. Yeah, you're telling me. This gives me Haley Bumblebee vibes. Sure. Yeah. Well, because Bumblebee was a I think that's Haley Steinfeld. And because she's acting when she was in the movie Bumblebee, I'm guessing she was acting against Robot because it was the Transformer. Yeah, she was I don't know. God bless Bob Hoskins, because he's just a treasure. This movie, it must have been so hard to just be surrounded by nothing but crew and like an empty sound set. And like before there was even like motion capture, it was just a bunch of weird robots going around you, and you had to pretend those robots were talking to you and they were cartoons. That's terrifying. Yeah.
Well, do you think that should be some kind of like awards category almost? Like, honest to God, I do think hardest. Well, I do think it should be. I mean, there's a bazillion, I feel like, categories that the awards, the award ceremonies are skipping out on, like best choreographer, fight coordinator,
casting director.
Sorry, casting director.
I mean, that's a huge one.
Stunts person. There's so many categories, but one of them in particular, I feel like not only do for people like Andy Serkis that are really great, with doing these characters.
I don't know.
Like,
that's kind of ghettoizing, don't you think?
But,
like to be best at not playing a human, best at I feel like that's a ghettoizing thing. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. It's not that he's not even really entered in the conversation as far as being a potential lead actor because they don't want to risk it. They're like, well, because he's so animated, we don't know how much is he acting. That's the whole thing. But if there's a category specifically for people that are acting with no one else there, such as Bob Hoskins and his situation,
or anybody you mean anybody in a Avengers movie who has to jump across things and pretend like they're acting so it's basically it's a green screen, best of green screen. Yeah, it's a green screen award. I mean, maybe, I don't know. I do think it's funny to watch those outtakes or whatever, and it's just videos of Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Hemsworth rolling around on just an empty green stage, and you're like, okay. But at least they have each other to work entirely alone, which is essentially what this movie is to work in a vacuum with Christopher Lloyd occasionally popping in. By the way, real quick, I'm going to go because we already have this kind of dynamic going on today. I have to go. It's getting very hot in here. I have to change my shirt real quick and get a drink. I'll be right back.
Absolutely. There aren't that many actors involved in this movie. There is that dude. I have no idea what his name is. That played that. He's not is he an agent technically? I'm not sure, but his name was RK Maroon, that pays the PI to take the pictures and all that good stuff. There was him, there is also Dolores, played by Joanna Cassidy. And so that was pretty awesome. It was really cute, having that, that little love story for sure. Okay. So in the chat, guys, overall, Bugs and Mickey giving Bump a score. Yeah, I did. What was okay? So aside from Jessica Rabbit and Roger Rabbit, obviously they're phenomenal. I want to know who are some of your favorite Easter egg animated characters in this. I mean, obviously Betty Boop was in it for a minute. There's so many smaller characters where they're in it just for a smidgen. I was gonna see if anyone had a favorite small animated.
Wait, I have a question. I want to clarify with you though. I just was thinking about it. Are you saying people like Andy Serkis deserve the award for being able to transform into creatures, or Andy Serkis, or people deserve awards for playing against other people in motion capture suits and working alone? Because Andy Serkis is the guy who they make look like a monster.
Yeah, well, I mean, I honestly think he should have been nominated for Best Actor or Best Supporting Actor for his involvement in
Lord of the Rings.
Not
Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, Planet of the Apes. Lord of the Rings, sure. But Planet of the Apes, absolutely, those were great.
I don't watch the last Caesar movies. I don't like the concept. I'm kind of like Eddie Murphy when it comes to Planet of the Apes movies, where I'm like, I don't like my belief system does not allow for a world in which I have to watch Gary Oldman act against apes. So in your version of reality, Gary Oldman and Woody Harrelson would be getting the awards because they're acting against the green screens. There should be an alternate award system for people who are very good at being in motion capture suits. Those are the real heroes, are the people in the motion capture suits who are just moving around being like, is this what a monkey does? Is this what a human monkey hybrid? And then he's regal and he talks like this. I mean, I don't know. I've never watched the movies, but
it's balls.
So Dumbo was in it. Tweety Bird, Droopy is maybe one of my favorite hot cameos in this, when he's in the elevator. He's like,
oh my gosh,
Gilly down, or however he says it. That wasn't a great Droopy dog. Gilly down. Yes, my Droopy dog. There's Dumbo. Betty Boop is in black and white, which is interesting. She makes a comment about how everyone else, there's no use for her since cartoons have gone to color, which makes zero sense because Mickey Mouse was in black and white before he went into color, and he seems fine.
But he went. But his point is, he went into color. Betty Boop never went into color. But also, he's also seen towards when they're in Toontown. Him and Michael K.
Yeah. Michael K. Boo. Man, we should have our stream glitching more often, and I should just be in shambles more often. Guys, this is the most I've ever. Yeah, we've got a lot of people watching. The word must have gotten out that Drew has managed to not be on the stream as much. This is the most I've ever researched one of our movies. Oh, am I not on? Sorry. That was a pause break because I.
Oh no, I'm just dancing in celebration.
Dancing is now triggering for me because it means that my screen has frozen.
Fair. That's very fair.
I do think this movie is impossible today. I think the idea of the IPs like mixing like that is incredible. They got it. I do think the stipulations are hysterically funny. I'm trying to find like another that like are so there was a bunch of stuff about this. Okay, so Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny had to do it like they were in a scene together. Like there were these like weird ass stipulations, like they weren't able to get Popeye, Tom and Jerry, Casper, or the Terry Toons because those are all owned by like Turner and Harvey Comics and whatever. It was this huge deal. Like Katzenberg, who I believe was the studio chairman at the time, was like everyone else at Disney was kind of pushing back and being like, this movie might be too much. And do we want to involve Mickey Mouse? Like these things that like Disney is very beloved about their properties. Do we want to involve them in a story that's basically like a hard-boiled LA noir that's going to involve sex? Well, at least the concept of sex is going to then, be funnily
racism.
Racism. The whole movie, super fucking like allegorical for racism. Whenever he says tunes, it sounds like a dirty word. A tune killed my brother. Tune killed my brother. My God.
It's. I mean, like it's, and it sounds like another word for. I mean, like another.
Well, there was actually some controversy there because when there's a scene with the piano playing, Daffy Duck is spouting his usual nonsense gibberish, and people thought they heard in that because he says, I can just hear Eric cringing right now because he's like, "Don't try to say it," but I am. He said he called somebody a doggone stubborn little nitwit. But for like many years, people thought he did something else, and it was very problematic. So people went back. There was also an issue with let's see, Betty Boop. Let's put that on the screen. Ryan Payne saying Betty Boop is a metaphor for entertainers who couldn't adapt to the times. Yeah, the talkies, man, the talkies. Compare her to silent film. Yeah, we're talking Singing in the Rain style. I mean, this is all very like allegorical. The fact that this is a movie that's from the 80s but set in the 40s. It's the time when Hollywood was changing. There was a lot of like, there was the beginning of McCarthyism. There was a lot of, this idea of rooting out the Jews, rooting out the spies, rooting out the commies. The idea of a Judge Doom kind of figure who would like be this sort of a, totalitarian Nazi-like overlord with a bunch of goons that are basically the hyenas from Lion King, but now they're weasels.
I'm like loving all these, like over the past few days, regardless of where you've been, there's been so many references to the hyenas.
Oh my God. Oh yeah, because everyone's just
I am so here for it.
Because I have incidentally just awakened something in everybody. Like whoops, I did that. Sorry guys for giving you guys all weird Lion King dreams.
I'm here for it. I want more Lion King, moments.
Adam Ward saying, Ryan Payne, I was just thinking of Sunset Boulevard. Yeah, I mean, it's the idea of these old starlets. It's the idea of like, there's a lot going on. The idea of these unincorporated, these disenfranchised people, the Toons, or not people, this disenfranchised group that needs protection, but they're also being exploited by a system that like thinks it's funny when they hurt each other, when they like commit acts of violence, like that they literally just want to entertain you, and they have like their little land that you can get through a tunnel, but we want to bulldoze it down and have them still work for us.
One of the big things for them in particular is that Toons, it seems like it's mentioned that they can't really have any other jobs except for an entertainment. Not only because they can survive anything. I mean, like the opening is like,
it's terrifying.
Roger Rabbit like almost killing himself for a scene where he's like, damn it, you don't know, you didn't read the script. It's supposed to be stars, not birds flying around his head.
That's like a 5-pointer, by the way, or like that's a 3-pointer. Like what it's supposed to be.
Oh, that's a 5-pointer, man.
That's supposed to be stars. I think people would remember one and not the other. Maybe they'd get it switched up. I'll always remember the blue birds. Like it's blue little birdies. I think it's like it's really interesting. Like the whole concept. It's a self-hating Toon at the end of the day, which isn't kind of unlike a certain dictator in Germany at the time who is half Jewish. Like the idea of like
Toon dip.
The Toon dip. This idea of extermination of the Toons
through chemicals.
Yeah, through chemicals. But also the idea that the Toons can't be killed. You're right. They can't be killed by anything except the dip. Yet forever we're seeing like real guns. We're seeing cartoon guns. Like the logic of what is used for violence, what can do them. In actuality, I think we would probably treat the Toons, if anything, even worse than this. We wouldn't let them be entertainers. We'd like District 9 their ass so fast, because the idea is that they're unkillable, like, and they don't die.
Don't like
and we
don't like that idea.
that and robots. This movie is the two scariest concepts that human beings have ever come up with. You know, besides like the other.
That's fantastic. Oh my gosh, that Toon
shoe. That Toon shoe.
Oh my gosh, I teared up so hard. I was like,
oh my God. Yeah. Why?
Oh.
Can I tell you something? It also doesn't make sense why Judge Doom is like that. Like, if he wants to go bulldoze attack, if he's like pulling off some conspiracy, fine. But like, why also have this like very personal stake in it? Like, he killed the cops or the detective's brother. Why? Like, we never really know why. Like, or was he pulling off like a bank robbery or something? And like, why would the judge need to do that? Why would that need to have? Why would he need to like create a thing to kill other Toons? That's not part of his deal. He's trying to like bulldoze the town, not like, have a Holocaust. It's just weird how evil they make him. And personally, like you watch him, he takes the glove and he puts the shoe in the dip, and you're like, well, that should have been a sign. He shouldn't have to wear gloves to touch essentially paint thinner. I mean, it's a good idea, but like, yeah, it's a weird character, and I feel like it's just very indicative of what the 80s thought the 40s were at that time.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
That scene was pretty traumatized. Mike K, what about the scene where he is again bulldoze, or it's not bulldoze, he's like it's like one of those Zapponi things that's going over the floor, like a floor cleaner. Oh my God, and his eyes bug out. And as a child, I remember thinking, not okay.
Picture up again, Sean, I swear.
Wait, did we have a picture of that, Sean?
Do not. We do.
Do we have a picture? Can I see it?
No, we do.
I didn't see it. I haven't seen it yet. What's the picture?
I don't want to look at it. I just can't.
Okay, I'll tell you when it's off the screen. It's not on the screen yet. Yes, I will.
No, you won't. Ah!
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, I remember it now. Yeah, okay. It's gone, Alex.
Oh, okay. No,
yeah.
No.
That's not on. It's good.
Drew, you're a weenie. I can hear you literally being like, post it.
Okay, now it's enough.
I can see it through my shirt, and it's still.
No, it's gone now.
You're such a weenie. I swear.
I'm gonna get an animated GIF of that, and it's gonna be like it's gonna be the GIF that comes up whenever we get a donation. It's just gonna be like.
It's so. It's looking at that. It's genuinely scary to look at. Like.
Yeah. It's
terrifying.
generally scary. Most of us, Alex, were like 8 years old when we encountered that.
Yeah,
it scarred most of us.
I'm so glad I didn't watch it until like 2 weeks ago. Okay.
I'm low-key
terrified of it. Still, obviously, clearly.
Christopher Lloyd has never been scarier, and he's a pretty weird guy. He's taken on some. I feel like there's one other role where he played somebody that was terrifying to me, but it might have been the homeless guy in Dennis the Menace. Which
that freaked me out when I was a kid.
Yeah, I didn't like how Christopher Lloyd was in that. But there was so in the release, guys, on Laserdisc, this movie came out in Laserdisc in 1994, and that was like the first time where you could watch things at different at frame rates, different frame rates. You could pause a movie and watch it still like frame by frame by frame. People claimed immediately that on slow replay you could catch like Jessica Rabbit nude, like that there was 24 film frames a second, allowed people to see Jessica Rabbit with brief nudity. Whether they were actually intended to depict the nudity remains unknown. I don't know how that's possible. They either animated it or it didn't. It's not like she slipped. Again, I think people like even writing this wiki are like confused about how Toons work. No one slipped and dropped like a towel. If there are frames of her nude in it that like the animators slipped by us, so be it. But like, there's no way that like it was accidental nudity that happened in a cartoon. That's not a real thing. Sorry to break your hearts, America.
I'm still trying to recover from that. You know, I was really hoping to see Jessica Rabbit nude. Clearly.
Yeah, no. I love it. There's so many things about this Wikipedia page that it just makes me so happy. This is like reading Scar's Wikipedia page all over again. The Eddie Murphy thing just makes me so freaking happy. He just did that. He fundamentally misunderstood what it meant for humans and cartoons to be working together.
You know what? Okay, I feel like if Scar were a person alive today,
He is. He's Jeremy Irons.
Yes. No, I think it's no. If he weren't Jeremy Irons, though, I think he would be like one of those people that would purposefully write incorrect things on Wikipedia pages.
Oh yeah, totally.
Just to mess with people. Just because he can be that, so he can just be that guy.
Yeah, no, he would totally be like he would be the mod of like the Reddit, like R. Donald, subreddit that just got shut down. He would be the guy who's butt actualing in like the Schmoedown Facebook groups right now. He'd be like, but just for the sake of argument, like no, he'd be a total fucking bastard. And he would be the guy probably, yes, editing incorrect things on this Wikipedia page about Who Framed Roger Rabbit just to make a bunch of nerds upset, and then also take over Pride Rock. Still going after Pride Rock, guys.
Dude, I want Pride Rock. That place sounds awesome.
The moment when Benny the cab crashes and Jessica flies out of the cab, it's theorized she's wearing no underwear when you slow down the video. Okay, that's one way of putting it. What the Wikipedia says is whether that was accidental or not is still up for debate, which means that it's fundamentally true, but someone who added this page thinks the animators slipped their hand and made her nude.
How do you slip your hand? It was like clearly it's a purposeful thing.
If it exists, it's clearly purposeful. Just sort of like the Little Mermaid and the Lion King both have like, the priest has an erection, sex is spelled in the clouds. There's all these little things that I think the animators do because they go crazy times. There's little things that you can say they're inadvertently, like it inadvertently looked like a penis. You can't say it was an accidental nudity.
Well,
that's drawing yeah, go ahead.
Well, it's very purposeful. The rescuers, there is till this day, if you freeze it at a certain point, there is a topless woman getting changed in the background of a scene where Bernard and what's her face are. So
that's a great example. Now, did anyone get confused and go, well, they just accidentally forget to edit out the part where we walked in on a woman or a creature taking off her shirt? No, that's impossible because these, again, fundamental misunderstanding, tunes aren't real. So you couldn't have accidentally gotten an upskirt Jessica Rabbit.
Yes.
Her vagina doesn't exist unless you make one. Like, you guys get what I'm saying, right? Like, you guys get why this is hilariously funny. Yeah. There's some great things in Disney films, and this is a Disney film. So it would not surprise me that these frames exist. And it only surprises me that people are fundamentally confused about whether it was an accident.
Yeah. It just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. I mean, it's Jessica Rabbit in particular, her character has become such an icon, not only because of she has such great lines, going to a favorite character, moment, it just comes down to, oh, I'm not bad. I was just drawn that way. It's such an iconic line. I recognized that line before I realized it was her. I knew it was from Jessica Rabbit. I didn't realize, I thought it was like from something else though. It never occurred to me it was from this movie.
I feel like as a child, I immediately went and saw Cool World and was less disturbed by Cool World, a very sexual movie about human and tunes that's way less well done. That's Jessica Rabbit. You know who did the music for this movie, by the way?
Who?
Alan Silvestri.
Again, same as Kate. So he also did the score for Death Becomes Her.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. So he's like a big Disney guy. We know that about him. I'm getting better at scores and soundtracks, just TBH. Hey, first of all, it's like it's 8 people.
Girl, okay, so the manager in me is wanting to tell you to stop talking about that. Don't say that. Why would you do that? Don't tell people about your new strengths.
None of them are strengths. Dance is not a strength. People can think whatever they think. People can think.
Don't tell people that.
I'm not telling people, Alex. I'm saying one could hypothetically. If you think that I'm actually going to go watch a movie that's outside my range of interest, you have another thing coming. I give away some theories of things you can possibly do if you want to put the work into it, but that's a different matter. Like I tell people, if you want to learn things, this is how you could learn it. I myself have no interest in devoting that kind of effort into something that does not grab my interest. Even this, which is a movie I've seen a bunch of times. I'm going to give you a little spoiler, Alex. What are you doing Thursday night? No, nothing.
What am I doing? What am I doing Thursday?
We've got a Who Framed Roger Rabbit quiz.
Oh, we do.
Well, we did. Eric made it while we were watching the movie.
Nice.
And I was sitting there, and I knew he was doing it. Yeah, we're probably gonna have to raffle off items for who gets to be in that quiz. I'm going to take it. I was sitting there trying to watch the movie and I couldn't. I kept looking at my phone. I kept doing other things because I have a fundamental inability to pay attention to things that I don't feel like doing at that moment. So I then went back and I've done like my little research method, which I'm not going to tell anyone about, my new way of learning things, which is the only thing that works for retaining information for me. I had to go back after watching the movie and do an hour or two of that thing, which is how I'm going to remember blue birds and not like yellow stars. They wanted yellow stars. It was blue birds. It's like how I'm going to remember like Daffy and Donald. It's how I'm going to remember like a bunch of like the Alan Silvestri. It's going to be how I remember 1988. Please God, tell me it wasn't like 87, but I believe it was 88. But like, I don't know. I think that there's so much in this movie that we all associate with like, so yeah, it was 88. Whew. So hard. This was the biggest, highest grossing animated film of all time when it came out. And like I said, yeah, it cost so much money to make. It cost $50 million to make, and it came in at $329 million. So like clearly did really good. But think about how much money that is up front. $50 million to make a movie with no main star of like any recognizable name, like a cartoon character that no one's ever heard of, in a genre that's like very unclear. Like what genre would you place this in Schmoedown? Is it a family film? Is it a crime? Is it
I mean, outside of like decades or something?
Animation? Is it animation? What is it?
Yeah. It's like, yeah, it's a really hard to categorize movie for sure, outside of decades, obviously. I do think that
Disney, technically.
I do think, honestly, after kind of reviewing Bob Hoskins and Christopher Lloyd's filmography, I do 100% think that, you know, not only is, you know, Christopher Lloyd's most iconic character, obviously, Doc from, you know, Back to the Future. However, I don't care about Back to the Future. So honestly,
I think it's Uncle Fester, but I'm weird. I'm not a huge Back to the Future
fan. I love Uncle Fester, but honestly, after kind of reviewing his filmography, I do think his most iconic role, honestly, is probably the judge from this movie.
So it will make you happy to know that Hoskins was nominated for a Golden Globe for this role. It wasn't like people passed him over. People were like, you did incredible work. No one was like confused that Bob Hoskins did a great job in this movie. I'm just saying, for the amount of money they put into it, to get relatively unknowns and then have them animated against, again, unknown, like they had Disney, they had all the characters, but they had to like be regulated to the background, and the star had to be a character no one's ever heard of. That's a huge risk. That's a huge risk to take. And employing all those animators. There's a phrase now called bumping the lamp. If anyone works in post-production, I guess that's the phrase that applies specifically to a scene where Roger Rabbit bumps into Bob Hoskins and bumps into a lamp, and the lamp starts swinging. And like why that's a big deal is because the shadows are animated in a realistic way that, you know, like he's not static on this on the thing. The camera itself is moving. Most of the times when you had hybrid animated movies, you would have the static camera, so people's depth perception wouldn't look off. So like the eye line wouldn't go off. This like the camera's moving around. There's a light swinging, and yet the shadows are animated perfectly choreographed to Roger Rabbit being in this room in a physical space. Like it's just, and they couldn't go back and do reshoots. Like they just had to keep going with it. $50 million to make this movie. Thank God it worked.
And that's a huge relief, you know, not only how popular it is, how well it ages. It really kind of shows that. I'm really curious about who's the one that pitched this movie.
That's what I want to know.
Was it Robert Zemeckis? Did he come up with the idea? And he's like, "Here, I had this crazy dream."
No, it was Spielberg, and it was Spielberg. I believe it was Spielberg who had all the clout, and he brought it to the studios, being like, "Here's a book idea." And like I said, Disney was not all on board, but like Jeffrey Katzenberg was like the head of Disney at the time, and he loved it. He loved it. I'm gonna go back to like what I was reading about it a little bit about the. Sorry. No, you sleepy girl.
I keep yawning.
So hold on. So so the thing was, where is it? They purchased the film rights in '81, which is that's weird because that's when the book was written. So the book came out. It was called "Who Censored Roger Rabbit?"
Was it a popular book? Was it like a bestseller or anything?
I don't think so. Like, I mean,
I know a lot of.
You ever heard of it?
Well,
have you ever heard of this movie?
No, I honestly, I'm not a huge reader. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm just not.
I am a huge reader, and I've never heard of this book.
I've
never heard.
I wonder if it was like, because I know from what I've been told, I know a lot of books are sold. The filming rights are sold, and they're like, okay, we're going to take it just in case we can film it and decide to make a movie of it later. But also, we just don't want anyone else to take it. So maybe they'll pay like $500,000, for filming rights or whatever it may be. Let
me clarify. Sorry. At the time, Ron Miller was the head of Disney. And again, so like Spielberg brought it to him and he saw it as the opportunity for a blockbuster. But it took a little while for like, Zemeckis had been turned down for 2 other Disney movies. And so Spielberg was kind of like, they were shopping it around with other directors for a while. Paul Rubens was supposed to voice. They have some test footage with Paul Rubens, like Pee Wee Herman, voicing Roger Rabbit. And that would have been something. That would have been something to like for people to be like, oh, I'm going to go see this movie because it's starring Pee Wee Herman or like that guy who everyone knows is famous. Like it's really funny. So it was developed. Michael Eisner revamped it. It went through a bunch of people. And then the project was revamped with Steven Spielberg, Frank Marshall, and Kathleen Kennedy. So everyone talks shit about Kathleen Kennedy, but she was part of that OG crew who like helped make this movie a reality. What? Like, yeah, that's it. So it just seems like this. Tim Curry was also, I forgot about Tim Curry. He would have made a great judge.
Oh my gosh, Tim Curry. He can do no wrong. Okay, everything from Pebble and Penguin to, oh my gosh, everything. What was that movie where he pretty much, he played like a sexy thing of sludge?
Oh yeah, that was Fern Gully.
Fern Gully. And I was like, what is it? But it gave me like a real, it reminded, after seeing it, I was like, hey, why does it sound familiar to like...
Oh my God. As a kid, I was so confused because my parents showed me Rocky Horror Picture Show at a very like inappropriately early age. My parents showed me Rocky Horror. And then I also watched Clue and It. So I just thought this like weird alien clown man had like very confused gender identity problems. And like, I was very confused about like what the difference between It, like Pennywise the clown, and Frankenfurter. And like, I just had a real weird idea of like Tim Curry as a human being. And I like stand by that to that day. That man is a national treasure, not our national treasure.
Oh, he is a complete national. He's an internet. He's a world galaxy. So
I do want to talk because we're not favorite line. I do want to talk a little bit about the writing process. Again, like I just went super stand hard on this. It's just super interesting. So like the writers, I think they were the second writers brought on. It was Price and Seaman were their names. They literally took the plot of Chinatown. The whole thing about the Cloverleaf streetcar thing was entirely just inspired by Chinatown. So they're like, let's make like again, how that scene from Be Prepared is animated like Triumph of the Will, and like no one caught it. There's like this entire movie's just essentially Chinatown. And I guess some people probably caught that. There was like the suburb expansion, the urban and political corruption. There was also a lot of the Hitler stuff. There was a lot of the Red Scare stuff. And there was a lot of the stuff about like that they ended up cutting out about like being tried by a jury of your peers. They were originally going to have a juror scene with kangaroos, like a kangaroo court. Like you get it? But that was eventually like popped out. They're like, it was supposed to look like the Harlem Cotton Club, which is where the Toons were supposed to be working because they are, again, like they were disenfranchised. The cab was supposed to be a Volkswagen Beetle. Because again, just like a little nod to Germany and
I would have not caught that, to be honest, but that makes sense.
There was ideas a sequence that was it was at that funeral, which everybody was supposed to be in, like every character was supposed to be in. I mean, there was other alternate titles. Would you like to hear them, Alex?
Let's hear it.
So the original title was Who Censored Roger Rabbit? We ended up with Who Framed Roger Rabbit? That took a really long time because in between there was Murder in Toontown, Toons. That one just sounds super like that sounds so weird. Toons. Dead Toons Don't Pay Bills. The Toontown Trial. This is sounding like a Quibbly, or not Quibbly. It sounds like a Quiplash game. The Toontown Trial. Trouble in Toontown, and Eddie Goes to Toontown. God, they really got off track. They just ended up changing one word, the Who Framed instead of censored, but they really wanted to work Toon in there, which I get because having based it on Chinatown, I was playing around with a lot of that earlier today, being like, forget it, Jake. It's Chinatown. Is that a thing? Like that?
Oh my
I don't
God.
know.
I can definitely see that. Sometimes we just I think the perfect title for this movie is Who Framed Roger Rabbit, just because that's exactly the plot. It's explaining a little bit without going and giving away too much or anything. And not to mention, you get that slight introduction of the character that is a completely original character we haven't seen before. If it was a movie that included focus on Daffy Duck or something, it wouldn't need that explanation. But this one, it clearly did.
So it does not say, by the way, at all whether this book was popular or not. There was an official sequel. He wrote another Roger Rabbit book. Wolf did. It was Who Plugged Roger Rabbit.
You.
It just seems weird. It just seems real weird. I'm gonna have to buy this book and read it because I am fascinated. I will come back and we'll do a little book club.
Girl, can we do a book club?
Dude, can we? It's been Dude, LA makes me dumb. Like, it's been forever since I read something.
I haven't done a book club in, I don't know, since early college, I want to say.
Whoa, what? Since college? I get it.
College. I haven't been part of a book club. I would actually book club since college. I mean, I'm reading a book right now. Technically,
I thought you said you hadn't read a book since college.
Oh what?
And I was like, okay. I was like, I don't want to be rude. Maybe it's a thing. Like, I haven't read a book in a while, but that's only because when I was in New York, I could read 3 books a week. I was on the subway all the time. There was nothing else.
That makes complete sense. Yeah.
But I would love to get in a book club. Anyone else want in on this Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Who Censored Roger Rabbit book club? I'm a speed reader, as you might imagine. So I'm
not gonna lie, it takes me forever to read a book.
I am the opposite.
For me, I need regular motivation to read a book.
Oh, I'm looking. Yeah, go ahead. This is motivation. You want to
that's why I feel like I would need to be part of something like this in order to kind of keep me on task of reading.
If you want to get Danny from C2A from you guys, and then also because I feel like she also reads, and
she is actually trying to put up a book. She's actually trying to put up a podcast page called Read.
Oh wait, she has a book club. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So it sounds like she already has one. Can I join it? And can I recommend this book? I didn't know that she already has a book club.
I'll kind of let her know. She has a bunch of stuff she wants to do. But her podcast is called not Watch the Book. It's Read the Movie or Watch the Book.
I love it. I love that.
But so she's done episodes on
oh, what the hell? That's so dumb of me.
Big Fish. She did Big Fish. It was one. With Hugh McGregor and
that's a real Halle Berry moment for me that I would recommend that the person that should join our book club is the person who's already doing a podcast about books that I probably should have known about because I was on her show yesterday. Sorry, Danny. Yikes. Can I join the book club and also can we read Who Censored Roger Rabbit?
I can definitely ask her. That's for dang sure.
So let's get into it. Were there any favorite lines or characters in this movie? We talked a lot about the behind the scenes.
Let me check out some lines because I don't recognize any characters. I mean, not characters, but any lines. I can't think of any lines out of the top of my head. You know,
well, you know the bad, but I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
Yes, outside of that one, I can't remember. I mean, thinking it's one of the more iconic lines.
I'm just gonna say every time that Bob Hoskins says tunes, I'm like, how are you not just saying the N word? He invoked something really horrible with the way he says tunes. It is a slur. It's bad. And it's a pretty good, it's just one word, tunes. Tune killed my brother. Hard on the T. Tunes. You're right. I also like how you start out the show by saying that you focus a lot on his recovering alcoholism. I'm not sure if that's what happens. Is it at any point does he stop drinking? I think that's
remember, okay, he's about to, no, so he gets his gun with his bullets and everything. He's about to drive through to go through the tunnel into Toontown, right? He looks at his bottle of whiskey or whatever it is, and he's like, you know what? No. And he pours it out onto the cement.
Right, onto the ground. Drink and drive. I mean, that's just true. Smart man.
And he decides, no, and after that, you don't see him drinking again.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point that is something that the film, as a narrative structure of something the hero does, sort of on the DL, that he starts out heavy drinker. That's also a trope of noir especially LA noir, that they're like heavy into drugs or drinking. They're kind of seedy men.
Sorry,
go
go ahead. Oh, the one of the lines is actually by Eddie Valiant towards the end. It was like, that lame-brained freeway idea could only be cooked by a tune.
Right. So even in protecting the tunes, he is still saying some fucking slurs against tunes. I mean, the idea that like it's still like even this movie is sort of subversive in the idea that what it's implying is the real horror is that tunes can now masquerade as people. And that's really what we should be on the lookout for. That's the red scare right there. It's not that the tunes that are obvious that we should be scared of. It's the tunes that are hiding amongst us.
Yeah.
This might be an anti-tune film at the end of the day. The tunes should be separate but equal.
And that is that the whole idea that, you know, they're hiding amongst us, you know, kind of thing. It's very similar to, you know, the idea during World War II, you know, with you know, people, with Jewish people, you know, hiding this idea that Jewish people are hiding.
Oh, yeah.
You know, in society. Oh, yeah. They're hiding who they are, kind of thing.
But my question is, do you think this movie is actually like propaganda for like saying, yeah, there's tunes, but they get their own separate world. And as long as they stay tuned, that's me and Sean's favorite movie. As long as they stay cartoon characters and don't masquerade as people and don't try to become us, then we'll let them have their entertainment, like little fantasy world, as long as we got to keep using them for that value. It's not like promoting the idea that everybody, like all the cartoons should try to evolve and adapt or be Judge Doom, right? He's very clearly the only tune that can look like a person and also the antagonist of the film. So what's that really saying, man? If I was Eddie Murphy and I was confused about what was going on in this reality, I'd maybe be like, hey, that movie is not cool towards tunes. That's an anti-tune film. It's promoting, it's promoting some real bad agendas.
Mm-hmm. I think low key, maybe it is, honestly.
Yeah. It's not about inclusivity, is it? It's about separate but equal.
I got my favorite line. I found it definitely. I remember hearing it and I was like, see you, Jake. I remember hearing it and I was like, oh. Okay.
You know,
the line is by Jessica Rabbit. She says, "Come on, Roger, let's go home. I'll bake you a carrot cake." And I was like, oh, I know what's happening.
How have I not mentioned the best part of this movie to me? And I think this is an iconic one for that everyone remembers, which is the only reason any of us know shaving a haircut 2 bits is because it's like the thing that the tune's unanswerable, like that they have to answer it. Like if you go, wait, they have to go 2 bits. They have to scream out 2 bits. Like it's a compulsion. They have to do it. They have to, or else I don't know. Like the name comes out of their head.
Yeah,
yeah. I love it that that's the way that's the way they out. Now it brings up the question about why no one's done that in Judge Doom's presence, and he hasn't had to scream 2 bits, right? If you're the person knocking, if you're the one who knocks, maybe you don't have to do it. But as a tune, you would think. It's also weird that the guy created the only thing that would kill him. Like as a tune, he's also invincible.
There's a lot of self-hate. I mean,
self-loathing tune.
That happens a lot. I mean, so
yeah, guys. So look, I don't know what we're clocking in because again, my internet went in and out. But I think we're clocking in at about an hour and a half. Does anyone have any more questions or comments? I mean, before we get on to our kind of final segments of Does It Hold Up?
Well, I do know there was like quite a few people in here mentioning earlier, mentioning that this movie is the hypersexualization.
Yikes.
Of Jessica Rabbit. I mean, that scene where she's singing and dancing on the stage.
Why don't you do right? A great song.
It's a great one. Now that one in particular, I remember feeling so conflicted. Because
be prepared, Alex.
It looked so good the way it was filmed. It was really neat. But also at the same time, it was like one of those weird situations where I've heard so many people till this day talk about how they went through puberty because of her.
Because of her, they were going to
still sexy. She is still crazy sexy.
I mean, what do we think?
Her character is. But think
about the allegory here. So we keep talking over each other. Think about the allegory here that like literally she looks like that, and the voice, the woman who portrays her, the woman who gives her life, is uncredited.
She doesn't. She asks not to be credited though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
She
Why?
Kathleen Turner asked not to be credited.
Why would you do that? Why would you take a role like this? First of all, Kathleen Turner's voice is so distinguishable. Ooh. Like it stands out so much. Like if you have that.
I didn't know it's her though. I personally didn't.
Really? I mean, but this is also the time when Kathleen Turner was huge. She was doing all the Robert Zemeckis movies. You mentioned Romancing the Stone and stuff. Did I freeze? Or
no, it's just like, no, it's because it's like, it's like Jessica Rabbit.
Oh yeah. Why don't you do right? Yeah, I mean, this really paved the way for movies like Cool World, in which Brad Pitt, I think, gets a blowjob from a cartoon. Yeah, it's a thing that happens. So, do you think this movie holds up?
Okay, I do want to say it absolutely does hold up. But Ryan, my dude, he mentions girls listed over David Bowie in the Labyrinth. He's a human. Okay.
Well, technically, he's king of the demons. We don't know what they're not even goblins. He's a goblin king.
He's technically 100% a goblin king, but he's also a human.
But that's not what you think. You think he's a human? Yeah.
He mentions that he is a human that also happens to be a goblin king. He was a former human that was kidnapped, and he was essentially like in Toby's situation at one point. But
okay, I've always wondered that if he was just a goblin. Yeah. If he was like a goblin who became handsome through a wish somehow. Like, I thought maybe it was a wish situation where this one goblin, got hot.
He's a sexy human.
So basically what you're saying is, first of all, also, there's a difference between lust and objectification. I can feel a certain way about Scar, and that's just because, I'm thirsty as hell. That's different than drawing Scar. I mean, they did draw Scar kind of sexy. They didn't draw Scar in such a provocative way that you can,
not purposefully. Like, they didn't draw Scar purposely wanting him to make him
sexy. They did kind of draw him sexy, but they didn't draw him that sexy. They didn't draw him to some ideal.
They drew him to look like Jeremy Irons. They didn't draw him to be to make women be like, damn.
Okay, so look at this. I could argue against that. That be prepared where you just
not purposefully, I guess.
We're going back to that idea though, which is what's by accident when you animate.
He's not objective though. The thing is, versus Jessica Rabbit, her purpose is to be sexy. You're
right. At no point does Scar go I would like to take Pride Rock, but my lion penis is too big. That's not something he says, but Jessica Rabbit only kind of reverts back to this idea that she herself is sexy. Let's bring back that NerdChronic quote. I want to talk about that for a second. They are planning to make a Nickelodeon version of this film. How do you think that will play out? I don't know. I feel like it'll play out Disney doesn't own Nickelodeon, so that's going to be real hard for Turner. So I think what NerdChronic told me was it just means that there's going to be a hybrid, a human hybrid with the Turner characters. So the Nickelodeon cartoon characters like Dora the Explorer and maybe her backpack are going to be hanging out. And I don't know exactly what this means. It means it's going to be noir. It's going to be dark. It's going to be
I really don't know. I can't really, thing is, characters like Dora the Explorer and everything are so purposefully for children. And I don't know if Nickelodeon would want to make a movie. Well, Nickelodeon in particular, it's
one would argue that Disney
for children. Disney's not exclusive for children.
But Disney at that time, saying that you were going to put Mickey Mouse in a property that was this risque, that was this sort of overtly sexual, overtly violent, and have him show up with Dumbo in it. And Disney put that out. It's not like someone took Disney's thing. Disney was let's make this movie happen.
Yeah.
I mean, the crossover here, if you want to play 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, which is my new favorite game to play, with the stipulation that you can't include any Avenger movie. You can include the other individual Marvel movies, but you just can't include any Avenger movie because it makes 6 Degrees way too easy. I'd like to play that game and have it cross over with Who Framed Roger Rabbit, because you get every single cartoon character basically that's super famous. You get Betty Boop, you get Mickey Mouse, you get Daffy Duck, you get Donald Duck, you get Dumbo. You could you could play a game there.
I do want to mention, specifically for Jessica Rabbit, though, absolutely. I think if they were her character in particular, I don't know would held up. So I'm kind of curious what they would change if they would change her at all.
Oh, it's not the same story. It's not the same story. He's just saying that they're going to do a hybrid of a human stuff with all the existing properties. No, it's just more the same concept. It's the existing properties exist in their own world. So it's the concept of The toons exist. When they go off camera, they go and smoke a cigarette, and they exist outside of the world that we know them in. And then a human is also involved in that world. So like kind of like Blue's Clues, but like with the idea that like it's way more interactive, and it's the characters acting in a way that is unlike the persona that we've seen. Kind of like Space Jam, I guess, was a little like that too. Like they exist, they know they're entertainers, they're self-aware toons.
Yeah, they have a world set apart kind of thing.
Yeah. They go home. It's existentially bereft and horrifying when you think about it for too long, so let's not dwell.
With her character in particular, I mean, there's like whole conversations about how she knows that she's being objectified. Her purpose is being objectified. It was
patty cakes.
Patty cake. I was drawn this way. I was drawn to with my purpose being to be objectified. Her character. Yeah. I mean, between her, that conversation where Jessica Rabbit goes to Eddie's apartment, and she's like, you don't know how hard it is to be a woman looking.
And he's like, I don't know how hard it is. Oh yeah, it's real gross. Then he's like, you don't know how hard I am, basically.
Yeah, he says you don't know how hard it is being a man looking at a woman the way you do. And so it's like that conversation. I know it's not the conversation like that's never gonna happen.
Yeah, look,
it's like that.
So you were asking, does it hold up? I think I would agree that it absolutely holds up. I think there are some things that if it was made today, you might want to change. Because you might, this is my thought too, is like with all the stuff going on in the world right now, you might want to have a different messaging than like we need to just protect these poor like toons that are too stupid to know better. Like you might want to change the messaging that's a little bit more like inclusive and a little bit more appropriate for the time. I do want to say like you bring up like you bring up whether or not we talk about on the show whether this is I'm getting a picture up. Don't worry. About whether this holds up, I think absolutely it does. I think that there are some indelible, shall I say, like images from this film that we'll just like never forget. I'm trying to find it. Like I have this thing on my desktop. It's so hard to find. That I just, I don't know. I feel like I will always associate this movie with a couple very specific agenda items. And one of them is like, the shave and a haircut. One of them is one of them is like Toontown, like the idea that when he goes into the toon world, it looks so freaking fake. Like that always stuck with me in like a weird way. It never made sense. Like, why would it look bad? Like, why would he not have a shadow in this world? Why would there be different guns? Like, why would? But I think a lot of kids these days would have a better sense of what's going on than I did.
Yeah, I mean, you're totally right when I said, it was definitely one of the first movies ever to do it. You're right, it wasn't. I do think it was definitely one of the first movies, period, to really kind of do this, especially on a movie that's so meta.
Yeah. Oh, wait, I found the image. Hold on. So this is like what I associate with the movie, just always, till the end of time.
Oh, God!
That's a lot of work for that joke. No. That's scarier than that's the part I'm talking about, where it's just straight bugging out his body. What? That doesn't even make sense.
I don't like it. Change it. No, I don't.
Okay, it's gone. It's gone.
No, it's not.
It's gone. Damn it. Gosh, like stop being such a scaredy cat.
I get scared easily. There's a reason. I don't like horror movies.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's so creepy.
Ugh. Yeah, no, you don't have to worry about it. It's not going to hurt you anymore. It's just going to go over here, and we're going to make it the new icon. If anyone can make GIFs or like know how to make templates, let's just make this the new Cinema Bias thing that when you donate, it's just going to pop up and go, ha ha. I'll see you in your nightmares, Alex.
It's so creepy. It doesn't give me nightmares or anything. It's just like it makes me so uncomfortable.
I'm dating him now. We're in an exclusive relationship. I don't know where it's going, but I'm like pretty excited about it. No big deal. We're exclusively together, so everyone can like lay off with all the comments. Clearly, I'm in a committed relationship with this man. Oh, I've got bad news, Alex. I actually don't know how to take it down off of this monitor. It seems
You're
like
such a weenie. Oh my
god!
I'm
totally serious.
That I can do. That
too much. Just kidding. That one is very scary. That is very scary indeed. Guys, please like this video of me trolling Alex super.
That
one's terrifying.
Now, and that's how this was our last episode of Cinema Bias.
No, Alex, don't make this the last one.
You know what? I don't care about that doll. It's that Christopher Lloyd. I don't even know what that thing is.
Don't say you don't care about me, Alex. I love you so
much. Does that doll have nipples?
It's not a doll. It's a sculpture, and
does that sculpture have nipples?
Yes. I'm now looking at it, and yes, it does. It also has teeth.
Of course, it has teeth.
Bunch of teeth.
Are they real teeth?
That's for me to know and for you to find out in your dreams. Everybody, this was made for me by one of my greatest fans, Heather Sabian. The movie Finobi helped out on it. It's my favorite thing in the world. Favorite piece of fan art. True piece of art. Still not as scary as Judge Doom, though. So you got to work on that. We got to create something for me that's the equivalent of VideoDrew's Judge Doom, because that's really going to be an entrance for something. Eric, can we just get to animating me real quick? Do you have like maybe 10 minutes out of your day to like just create an animation version of me that could like interact in real time with real people and cast the right shadow? Could we bump the light possibly? No biggie. Thanks.
No big deal. No big deal.
Do we want to talk about it? I think we have a topic for next. I think we have a movie for next week. Check in the private chat if that's correct.
Yes, I do believe so. Just want to let you guys know again, like we kind of we mentioned earlier, we thanks so much to Drew's patrons. Go over there and be a Patreon member of hers. It's a really great time. But we are going to be doing much more bigger movies than before, and
yeah,
so
we're going over the big ones. We were picking esoteric ones before. Now we're going Roger Rabbit. We're going to find out what each other's blind spots are, and we are going to go hard on them.
Hard. And so there's a lot of, big movies that obviously I haven't seen, also Drew hasn't seen. And so we're going to be diving into that. So here pretty soon we're going to be diving into Warrior from 2011, directed by Gavin O'Connor. And if you're a member of the Action Army, you know how important this movie is to us.
And I'm not going to stop harassing those Team Action guys. I'm going to try to get them on the show for that, because I don't feel like watching this movie. I don't want to watch this movie unless it's guaranteed that Ben Bateman and Andrew Guy are going to show up and care.
I did mention, I did message both of them, and I haven't received a message back yet.
Unless I get approval, unless I'm getting compliments from two major Schmoedown competitors, I will not watch a movie that I don't feel like seeing. It's contingent on that. But for next week, because it is sorry, this is another week that we're doing, I believe, a movie that you haven't seen. So we might have to rethink that, because
no, we can't. The thing is, we are gonna be doing this, but Sean Bertow, he's actually one of our mods. He has actually picked this movie.
Oh, that's right.
So he actually picked the movie Wall Street from I think it's 1987 or 88, one of those. And so I can see Charlie Sheen, Michael Douglas, obviously coming on high, off of Basic Instinct success. So it's a really great movie that, obviously, it was hugely inspirational. It's definitely a movie of the times, 80s, it's the fucking 80s. I mean, a lot of crazy shit was happening.
Green is good. This is one of the most famous. This is one of the most famous movies, I feel like, besides The Godfather, or not maybe the most famous. It's the most indicative. Sorry, go ahead.
What if we had Bobby Gucci on?
Well, we're having Sean on, so that's our guest.
You're right. You're totally right. You're right.
There are other movies that I've talked to Gucci about that I know he would love to set up for. But I think that I don't know. I'm so excited to do this. I'm so excited to start having guests on. I'm so excited to just to be doing a thing that's involving a more interactive element of it. Because let's be honest, this show is pretty great. And I didn't know before, the other day when I did a post show for In the Dark with VideoDrew, quick plug, that how many people just watch Cinema Bias. Because so many of the people who stayed around for the after show, when I asked them how they found out about me, they said through Cinema Bias. So people are watching the show, and people do want to have things. But we've been picking pretty deep cuts, I think, because originally my idea for the show was going to be, things that the other one just really didn't like or would never watch. So I picked Videodrome was our first one. Being John Malkovich was one. Blue Velvet. I've gone some real deep cuts, and you've, to your credit, stayed pretty on the right side of history. Not the right side of history. You've stayed pretty much in the mainstream.
My movies aren't super. My mainstream are definitely not I feel like honestly they are deep cuts. Like I chose American in Paris, Whale Rider, A Little Princess, which like 90.
These are all good. These are all normal movies.
Which like they're not exactly like super duper well known movies. You know, if you are like really into. If you were like actively studying in Schmoedown or something like that, and like as far as like trying to work on your musicals or like 90s specific family movies or whatever, maybe that's one thing. But you know, it's not a movie. These aren't movies that you just casually come upon. You know,
and we want to to that end, we want to shift the focus a little bit. We want to be focusing on these big movies. These big movies that one or the other one has missed, or possibly both of us.
Huge.
And we are going to be like, you know, having guests on and having people come talk about it, because I've never seen like any James Bond. That's okay. You can say like I'm giving stuff away, but I've also memorized a bunch of stuff about James Bond. Doesn't have to watch it. I've answered a ton of questions about movies I have not seen. So
like any James Bond?
I tried to watch. Oh no, wait! I sat through. I went to the theaters and I saw the Quantum Solace. Which one was about his house? I saw that one.
Skyfall.
Yeah, Skyfall with Brian Cox. Yeah, I saw that one. Casino Royale, I try to watch because I love me some Mads Mikkelsen. But every time action happens in a movie, my eyes start to glaze over. Like, I don't know what it is. I'm like, well, there's going to be no dialogue in this part of the movie. So, like, James Bond is mostly people running and shooting. And I'm there's a vast ocean of indifference in me about those kind of scenes.
Okay,
I've seen every Mission Impossible. I don't remember anything about it.
I haven't seen any of the older ones, to be honest. So honestly, if you're able, tweet at Ben and Drew for them to come on Cinema Bias for when we do Warrior. Please tweet at them. Be like, hey, go on Cinema Bias. That would be awesome.
Tell them that we're not going to watch it. I will not watch Warrior until they come on. I will withhold my Warrior watching unless they come on this show.
But also I would love for Mike Kalinowski. Please tweet at Mike Kalinowski. I am going to message him about possibly coming on, but tweet at him. Let him know that neither one of us have seen it.
Well, what a call to action. What a call to action to like just go harass Schmoedown players about being on our show. Go, my minions. Fly. Tell Danny I want in her book club. I'm just going to use this as my new platform to like demand things.
Also, Drew has never seen a Lord of the Rings movie.
No, I sat through the first one. I think I fell asleep, but I've never they were watching it recently in the house, Eric and his friends and his roommates, and I was like, again, there's like a lot of walking, a lot of fighting, a lot of stuff happening on the screen, not so much with the talking. So it's very, very uninteresting to me. I remember one time seeing The Hobbit, or at least the one with the dinosaur, Smaug. Yeah, Smaug? So I saw the dinosaur. Yeah, whatever. I mean, dinosaurs and dragons are the same thing, except one was real. So yeah, the dragon. But so I saw the dragon one, and I remember most of it took place like in a cave or at night, and things were on fire.
So that's all I got. Installation of Smaug. Okay.
Yeah, guys. No one give me Middle Earth. No. That being said, I've memorized a bunch of facts about these stupid movies. So make me watch them. You can also, guys, if you want to come on this show and recommend movies to us, all you got to do is become a patron, patreon.com/VideoDrew. You can join up for the $20 tier, which gets you in on like this show. It allows you to force a movie into our eyeballs. Stipulation being it has to be something that one or both of us have not seen. Either one of us, both of us haven't seen. So because I've seen Wall Street, haven't seen it in a while. I do have like some bias against certain kind of, what would you call this? Like a Wall Street's like, I guess, just a crime movie, or
it is. I mean, it is a crime drama from what I've been heard.
My God, I can get real deep into these subgenre debates, as you know. By the way, like everyone knows that. No one's confused. Me.
I had I was training with my faction earlier today a little bit, and we were talking about coming of age movies. And so one of the movies that was I can't remember which movie it was. It wasn't This Boy's Life. But pretty much, so I can't remember what the movie was.
Book of Henry?
No. Gosh, that movie.
I was really hoping one day that will be the answer.
Wait, it was Life of Pi. Directed by Ang Lee.
I mean,
I consider it's technically
it is
on some
technically.
forms. It is technically considered a coming of age, but he argued it's not a coming of age movie. So I was like, okay, is that a challenge? And so I want them to challenge it, because if it is, I mean, if it isn't, I want to know why. But thing is, it is listed as a coming of age movie in some areas, but not in others. Like on Wikipedia, it doesn't.
I think it has to be IMDb is what the precedent is. Well,
IMDb doesn't, at the top, it doesn't, coming of age movies isn't considered a genre. Like crime or biography or drama or romance or anything. Coming of age is not considered a category.
Well, then I think that's more of an issue of like something that the show that I'm on was going to have to address someday, but not today.
Yeah, but it is listed like on Wikipedia and other places. It is considered a coming of age, movie. And then I messaged, but also I came back and I was like, "Hey, Heavenly Creatures, is that a coming of age movie?"
Yes, Heavenly Creatures is absolutely a coming of age horror movie. I mean, it can be more than one thing.
Exactly. Yeah. I said what that movie is a coming of age movie, but it's not. And he's like, "Yeah, it totally is," which it obviously is.
Eric,
but
get in
not
here.
Not listed anywhere as a coming of age movie, although it clearly is.
Eric, come in here. Eric, I need him in here because we had this debate last night about what falls under the genre, because thriller technically falls under the horror genre in a lot of places.
Like horror thriller,
but it's considered a subgenre of horror, and a lot of thrillers are not subgenres of horror. Like Basic Instinct, like Fatal Attraction, they have horror. I mean, they're scary slasher elements. But let's say like Fincher's movies, like The Game, Gone Girl, those are not horror movies. Those are just thrillers. And so you start getting into psychological horror versus psychological thriller. You start getting into all these different things. It gets hard to parse. I think my only point with a challenge that I'm still like boasting about today is just that you kept off a word that was necessary for the category to make sense and for the question. And that's like the only thing. However, would you like to know how this movie would be categorized if we were going by Wikipedia? Can you take a guess?
Well, animation is not considered a category technically.
Nope.
So
this is a very specific subgenre.
I would say dramedy.
It's a mystery comedy film. That's weird. Why not just an animated crime?
Well, animated is not considered a genre in IMDb.
But but live action. You don't think live action animated hybrid? Let me see what IMDb.
No, but if you going at the top of IMDb, it lists like romance, drama, stuff like that. Coming of age, animation, stuff like that. Family is, but not animation.
Okay, so it's animation. No, it is. It says animation, adventure comedy.
Did they change it? Did they change it since last time I went?
Who Framed Roger Rabbit is animation adventure comedy.
I feel betrayed. So no mystery is mentioned at all. Interesting.
No, adventure doesn't seem to fit that well. And just remember that the thing about American Psycho is it was listed on IMDb as a crime drama. It didn't even hit thriller.
Interesting.
So these things are all malleable. That's the point, I guess. But the way more important part, I think, for Roger Rabbit is just that this movie defies categorization. Like it doesn't seem like it's for the audience that it's supposed to be for. It's not for kids, although a lot of kids saw it. And clearly it has kid characters. The story here is an adult story that's it's a parody of an adult theme. Like just because it's animated doesn't make it a kids movie.
How if you were to have kids, how old would or whatever maybe, how old would they be until you introduce this movie to them?
Oh, like in the womb. I'd be like, that'd be the first image they see is just
even if they're scared, even if it's like terrifying to them.
I was raised in a very non-traditional household, Alex. I was raised in a household of counter programming. My parents told me like very scary stories before I
Is that something? Okay, so would you apply that process towards yours?
I mean, I'm not going to have kids for exactly the reason that my parents counter programmed me, Alex. And like, I'm
That's fair.
I just don't want to do that. But like, if I did,
That's fair.
If I was babysitting, or if I was, I'm like kind of like an auntie to my friend's child, whose name I'm forgetting because that's the kind of mother I'd be. It's a little kid. Yeah, you guys know her. She likes me a lot. She says my name. I know my friend's name. Can't remember the kid's name. Oh, damn. That's bad. I wouldn't show it to her because I wouldn't want her to be scared. I don't know how old they'd have to be. I think like 10, 11.
Yeah, they would have to be. Yeah, so they would be old enough.
If they found it, I wouldn't get mad at them. How about that?
Yes,
like,
fair.
It wouldn't be something I sat them down and showed them. Like, mommy's got to tell you how the world is, because this movie like adds nothing to like telling you what's going on in the world. It's going to take place in entirely different. Even the contextual jokes that made sense in the 80s don't really make sense for now. So it's more like a nice little relic. It holds up, but like, would I recommend it for like a child? Like, probably not.
Oh, I stand corrected. I guess IMDb did make changes since I checked last time, but it has been a while since I checked. But animation is on IMDb. Yeah, animation is on IMDb now. Awesome. So I guess maybe it is just like, I guess it doesn't include coming of age movies. I mean, I wonder if that's ever going to change.
How are you finding this out? Are you just going to their major tags, or like what's going on here? Because now that it's become like standard that we have to know which things are on IMDb and what's listed as what. Should probably get on that.
Well, that one in particular, I mean, it's something that I do kind of throw whenever I train with my competitors. I kind of throw them questions that I know are wrong, but I kind of want them to argue, be able to recognize the problems, and be able to argue them, because I want to see if they would recognize it.
Okay, so okay, I see it. I see what there is. There's categories. There is animation, which has the most amount of things, by the way. Animation is by far the biggest category with 346,223 films. Then after that, it's comedy with like 1.5 100,000 or 150,000. Then after that, it's family films, adventure, short films. We could throw that out. Fantasy, action, sci-fi, drama, romance, thriller, mystery. That's a good distinction between thriller and mystery. Music, vague, horror,
music
sport.
Versus like I feel like there's a real big difference between
that's vague.
like music movie versus like musical. Like I don't personally I don't consider like Bohemian Rhapsody or A Star Is Born like musicals. I consider
I would consider Rocket Man a musical because the music is contextual.
Oh, that is totally musical. That's a different conversation though. Yeah. Where I did get into a conversation with Lucas about it.
Guess what? Music is separated because after music comes horror, sport, then musical. So music is, again, just so that goes to my dance point about the dance genre. Movies about the industry of music are different than musicals.
Okay, but it doesn't even have to be like I feel conflicted. Like the movie Once that won an Oscar like forever ago. I believe it takes place in Ireland, where
it's both. Coco is both, apparently. That's why I'm looking it up. Coco is both a musical and it's a music movie because it's about a guy, who dies and whose songs was stolen from him.
Yeah.
I like how we and IMDb are on the same page with this kind of stuff.
Yeah. I do like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, someone kind of mentioned in the chat, I believe it was Ryan. He said, do you think, if I can find it, I don't know where it is. Oh, do you think Who Framed Roger Rabbit, because it was made by Disney, like you said, does it belong on Disney Plus?
So it's been said before that, so I think Zemeckis has been asked about it, and he said pretty recently, because me and Eric were looking this up because Eric thought that this was going to be like a direct sequel being made, or there was a sequel in the works. But as recently as 2018, which seems a little bit early for what's about to happen, Robert Zemeckis said he doesn't think it would ever be on Disney Plus. Like, he doesn't think that that's what belongs there. That being said, like, The Mandalorian, like, that worked. And that's like a pretty, I mean, it wasn't very sexualized, but it did take the existing IP and turn it into a pretty like dark Western, a pretty adult show.
It's not trying to give 10-year-olds erections or anything, though.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
obviously,
I don't think a TV show that was directed on Roger Rabbit would be that. Like, again, I don't think it would be that sexualized. I don't think the messaging would be the same. I think it would be.
I do wonder if it would be edited at all. Like, would that?
You mean the actual movie or a sequel? I'm sorry. Are you asking about
the movie itself?
Oh, the movie would show up. Yeah, why not? I mean, you'd have to. I mean, Dumbo is on there, right? And Dumbo has some pretty racist quotes.
They edited it though.
Oh, you got to be kidding me! Really?
I mean, they edited Splash. So
didn't they edit Greedo out of Star Wars or something?
I don't.
Or like they edited what he says or something.
I don't know. They edited Splash because to include her having long hair, because there's like a scene where she's like running into the ocean and you see her ass. But
was it on the thumbnail?
No, it wasn't. It was just like a throwaway scene. You know, she's running towards the ocean. She's a human that just transformed in. She's trying to transform
I got it. I got it.
Anyway, but she's running away, and they CGI hair, so it covers her butt while she's running away.
Look, we CGI'd hair onto Kevin Costner for Waterworld. We CGI'd a whole toupee onto him.
Yeah. Also, when Tom Hanks is like kissing her underwater, they like blur out something.
His erection. Remember.
Maybe.
Sorry, just kidding.
They blur. Maybe it's been a while. I can't remember.
Wait, real quick. Yeah. I want to make sure that we get to the rest of these topics. So, you guys, just keep these in mind in movies that we could you could make us watch, because some of these genres, sport. It's not even pluralized. That's just wrong. Sport movie.
Sport.
There's
so I guess basketball is like out of the list then.
It's all the movies that I am not good about. There's sport movies, musical. Then there's crime, history, docs, which never get asked about. Biodocs do. Talk shows, which I guess talk shows and game shows are TV things. There's war movies. There's westerns. There's biographies, which are different than that are different from what's it called? They're
biopics,
biopics. I mean, documentaries are different than biographies. There's adult. There's only 3 things tagged as adult. I'm thinking the crowdsourcing work on IMDb needs a little bit of help. I think I don't know, guys. There's definitely some genres in here that I have never ever tried to delve into, specifically because I have biases against sports movies. I have biases against thrillers. Yeah.
Starger said they edited the Muppet Christmas Carol.
Oh, I bet. What'd they do to it, Stardew?
I don't know. With no song. I don't know what that means.
Oh, wait. Yeah. By the way, Malcolm's thing, I don't think it's edited. Dumbo is edited. They do say the movie has outdated racial views. We're talking specifically about what it says on the platform of Disney Plus. What I'm imagining is what they did was they added a little bumper above it, like before the movie, saying this movie contains, I think I read an article on Collider about it. It's like this movie contains something outdated.
Yeah, they started doing that. Yeah. I do know they started doing that, but I do know some other movies they just flat out edited and took out scenes and CGI'd certain things and everything. But it very, very much depends on the movie.
Which song was this, NerdChronic? We just did a Muppets Christmas Carol for our thing. So what? First of all, congratulations. Thank you to all the new viewers we have. Thank you guys. I'm not gonna say who the hell's watching. Press thumbs up and and subscribe.
Dancing. We just need more dancing.
There's 20 minutes where I just wasn't on camera because the internet broke. And thank you guys, everyone who's here. Please like and subscribe. Please comment. It helps the algorithm. Please go over to visit, all of us. I guess I'm doing a wrap up. But I do want to know what song was edited out of the Muppet Christmas Carol before we go. They took out the song between young Ebenezer and his girlfriend. That makes sense. That was a bad song.
Oh, I guess. Okay, so I just saw in here that the movie is on Disney Plus. Oh. Nice.
Press play and let's watch in real time, but don't put the audio up or this channel will get flagged.
Yeah.
I love how someone assumed that the issue was in the Muppets Christmas Carol that it was too sexy when Ebenezer and his fiance was there a class issue. I do like that someone clocked that it was missing, but that someone associated that with the edit. You're allowed to edit movies if they're boring. Yeah. When love is gone, that made the movie that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, I can see that. Sports. But like Drew was mentioning earlier, if you join her Patreon and you join a certain tier or above where you are able to send us movie requests and everything. Obviously it's not like you send in one movie a week. Yeah, you send in 5 movies, so we kind of go through your list and okay, which one have we seen? Have we not seen? Because obviously it would suck if we gave you only one opportunity and you're fingers crossed I haven't seen it. That would suck.
If you go over my Patreon, guys, patreon.com/VideoDrew, you can check out the tier groups. There's a lot of different ones. Find the one that's right for you. But if you do subscribe to this, you will get a message a response that tells you exactly how to sign up for the system. And we're kind of a new channel. We're working out the kinks, so to speak. Ooh. But it's gonna be a pretty good system. I'm really excited about this. We just have such good content coming out. Having Roka on last week was so much fun. I cannot wait to have Sean on. Finally, producer Sean is gonna be on camera, you guys. The mysterious and elusive producer Sean is going to grace us with his presence.
Low-key the real star of Cinema Bias.
I'm gonna be one of these people who's known for getting the people behind the scenes on camera. I got Tom to go on camera. I've gotten NerdChronic to be in front of the camera. I'm gonna get Sean. Got Danny. I'm gonna catch them all. I'm gonna make you all realize what stars we have working behind the scenes.
Not kidding. I mean, there's so many people behind the scenes. I mean, I think Eric was like one of the first people that as involved as excuse me.
Thank you,
Eric is. Yeah, thank you. As awesome as Eric is, amazing behind the scenes. You know, he is a guy that being behind the scenes means that your face isn't in front of the camera, obviously. So people are less likely to know who you are. But we are so adamant to tell everyone about Eric.
What a great segue, because I want to thank my mods, like real quick, if we can. That would be Sean, that would be Danny, that would be Adelia, and that would be Movie Finobi, because they've really been pushing me these last couple of weeks to make the best of like this channel, and it's getting there. Like I can feel it. I'm getting like hyped. I'm treating this. I got some hustle for the first time in like a very long time. I'm like treating this real seriously, and that's only because of like people donating their time and energy and resources to this project of stuff that I do and stuff that we do together. So thank you all for being here, and thank you all for watching. I do also want to say a quick thank you to my $25 patrons, which is the Wild at Heart patron tier, which is Aaron and G Nappy and Richard and Stephanie Begg and Rob Clark and and Sean and William Green. So thank you guys so much. Like, you guys, of course, are always going to get a shout out after everything. And then, do you want to plug your where you're at, Alex? Before you fall asleep on camera?
Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. I haven't been up 12 hours and I'm just so tired.
Yo, today I woke up in such a cranky mood. It was gnarly. I was so mean today. You bastard. You know what, Sean? Get on camera. Get on camera for a hot minute. I want to say, no, he's shaking his head now. Guys, just imagine this.
It makes me legitimately so uncomfortable.
I'm going to treat this image like it's you, Sean, and just say, put it back up. Just put one of them back up. Put one of the lights. Put one of the judge. Because I want to say thank you to it. Sean.
No.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you for all the work you've done. Thank you for this awesome keyboard. Like, thank you for everything, all the work that you've done and all the mods. You're all great. And thank you. Guess what? Thank you, Alex. It's gone now. Don't worry. I'm just thanking you.
No. You're such a weenie. It's still there.
It's still there. Never get rid of it. That's our new outro image. You're welcome, guys.
Still there. Jesus.
So I'm not in control of it. So my hands are off the board. So we're gonna see you Thursday, Alex, for VideoChronic Pop Culture Quiz on Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Anyone else want in on it? We're gonna have to find out some sort of system for getting people in on that. We'll probably give it first to Patreons and then work our way down. But you're definitely taking it because it's one of our like cinema bias stipulations. This is also the first time I'll be taking a quiz off of a movie that I've seen very recently. I'm still amazed I was able to win the American Psycho one. Oh my God.
I gotta be honest, I haven't seen American Psycho in years.
Who did you play against? Because I forgot that you were in that quiz.
I think I played against Craig.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's right. That was one of those ones where Craig just did not have it. Was Troy in that one?
Well, I can't remember some of the other people.
Maybe it was.
There were some people in the family because I can't remember.
Well, anyway,
that one
we're excited. So that's 9 p.m. Before I plug my stuff though, where can people find you, Alex?
You can find me on Twitter, right there.
Yeah,
right there.
And where else?
I try to post funny stuff sometimes, but I'm only very rarely successful. So, great time. You can also find me at the Cold Action Podcast as well. I personally run the Cold Action Podcast Twitter handle.
Oh, look at Adelia. We're going to put that up.
Yeah. Look at that.
Thank you, Adelia.
Yes. Here tomorrow, I'm actually going to be hosting, I'm so excited, a Schmoedown episode between William Beast Bibiani up against Daniel Ramirez. We're going to be wrapping up the Tournament of Champions here very soon, and the winner of said match is going to be getting a Schmoedown's belt, and it's going to be fantastic.
What? Wait, where are you getting belts at? Were you giving belts away now?
Of the winner of the, Schmoedown's tournament, yes.
Okay. They are
getting one.
And I do want to say a special shout out too. I'm looking at the chat. You guys were like on fire tonight. It's almost like the chat was another character in the cinema bias tonight. It's almost like the chat was another character. You see what I'm doing? I'm doing that thing about New York, being in movies that take place in New York.
Oh God. Why isn't that a category in?
We've already Schmoedowned it. It's movies
movies set in New York City. That needs to be a category.
Moving on.
Or movies set in LA. It needs to happen.
We've already done that. Wait, which one? It was New York, right? That's what one. Anyway, guys, you can find me on this channel that you like and subscribe to, even if you don't like me. There's a lot of people out there who don't like me, or like don't like my personality or think I'm too much, but you should still like the channel because look, Alex is on it and NerdChronic's on it. So you like kind of have to like it. You kind of have to. Like we got a lot of people working here that are less annoying than me. So please like and subscribe. I'm at VideoDrew at everything. Patreon.com/VideoDrew. Like again, like, oh God, it feels weird to shill this much. But yeah, you can find me Mondays and Thursdays doing the VideoChronic pop culture quiz with movie Schmoedown editor, movie trivia Schmoedown editor, NerdChronic. That's 20 questions deep cut about one specific film. That's at 9 p.m. Pacific time. Tuesdays, you can find us here at 8 p.m. Pacific time doing Cinema Bias. Wednesdays and Fridays, you can find me over on Twitch. Tomorrow, I'll be doing it at 5 p.m. after the Star Wars match on Twitch. You can head right over to my channel afterwards for a movie watch along. I can watch anything on Prime and stream it to anyone else who has Amazon Prime. We can watch a movie together, like kind of like these two screens are right now. We'll just be watching movies like that. Fridays, we have video karaoke at 8 p.m. Pacific, which has become the highlight of my week. Honestly, it's like singing karaoke. It's like honestly just the highlight of my. I've started doing it on off nights. It's just so good.
Can we do karaoke tonight?
I'm about to say I'm probably gonna get off and sing a couple duets. I found about the open duets, which are just or open mic. Yeah, let's do that.
Can we do that? Can we do that tonight?
Yeah,
I need some. I need some tunes.
Yeah, I need to make some new friends. And then on Sunday nights we have something I'm very, very excited about. Holy crap, you guys! In the Dark with VideoDrew. It's my kayfabe show. Although at this point it's pretty blurry what the difference is. Last week we had on Tom Ryman from the Looney Bin. Sorry, that was like 2 weeks ago. And then last Sunday we had Lon Harris. And I will say that this week I think we got Jen Sturger. So she's going to be our special guest. It's also a show that you can come on and you can be, if you're at a certain tier level, you can come on and be a guest. So we have a personality guest, and then of course you fans have great personalities, but then we have a fan guest. We play games like Finish This Quote or Gop IHOP ? And it's just awesome. And that starts at 9 p.m. Pacific time on Sunday nights. But you can find all my schedule and stuff by going to the Patreon, going to any of my channels, and I think that's it for me. I feel like you guys have heard enough from me tonight, unless you feel like hearing more. Do you feel like hearing more? Head over to my Twitch. I'll be there with Twitch. Well, twitch.tv/VideoDrew. And if you want to download the app, Twitch Things. Oh my God! And I think on that note, guys, say goodnight, Alex.
And wear a mask. Oh God.
Yeah, wear a